It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Stacy's here, Ant's here, and look who's in studio with us, Jeff Jarvis. We'll talk about Google's quarterly results that just came out. Surprise, surprise, surprise. It's a profit thing. We'll also talk about where Ruth Porat is going. And Jeff went to Google yesterday to learn about the new Journal LM. We're going to find out, what's it called? NotebookLM. We're going to find out all about NotebookLM, and I'm going to learn what it's called next on This Week in Google. This show is brought to you by Cisco Meraki. Without a cloud-managed network, businesses inevitably fall behind. Experience the ease and efficiency of Meraki's single platform to elevate the place where your employees and customers come together. Cisco Meraki maximizes uptime and minimizes loss to digitally transform your organization. Meraki's intuitive interface, increased connectivity, and multi-site management keep your organization operating seamlessly and securely wherever your team is. Let Cisco Meraki's 24/7 available support help your organization's remote, on-site, and hybrid teams always do their best work. Visit meraki.cisco.com/twit.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 726, recorded Wednesday, July 26th, 2023. Corpora Bailiwick and Jones. This Week in Google is brought to you by Discourse, the online home for your community. Discourse makes it easy to have meaningful conversations and collaborate anytime, anywhere. Visit discourse.org/twit to get 1 month free on all self-serve plans. And by AWS Insiders Podcast. Search for AWS Insiders in your podcast player or visit cloudfix.aurea.com/podcast. We'll also include a link in the show notes. And our thanks to AWS Insiders for their support. And by Fastmail. Reclaim your privacy, boost productivity, make email yours with Fastmail. Try it now free for 30 days at fastmail.com/twit. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show we cover the latest news from Google. Far, far away in the distant land of Bainbridge lives a woman named Stacy, who is today the only person on Zoom. Do you see Stacy,
so
all of us, or do you see yourself?
I pinned the other thing, but today I just see me.
Yeah, because they're not on Zoom. I'm sorry, Stacy.
Oh, that's right.
But it's nice to see you. And
well, now I won't know when I can run to the bathroom.
you don't know when you can go to the bathroom because we're all here and you and I are not. But we will know. Also in the studio with me, Mr. Ant Pruitt. Good to see you, Ant, our wonderful community manager. I told you I was going to be tired.
Oh, man.
I had the Pappy Van Winkle last night. Our wonderful community manager for Club Twit. Good to see you.
Hello, sir.
And in studio with us, because he just gave his big lecture at the Commonwealth Club in San Francisco, the author of the Gutenberg parenthesis, The Age of Print, and its lessons for the age of the internet, Jeff Jarvis. Is so good to see you.
It is so good to be here. It really is. And I risked jumping the gun.
Craig gets his plug no matter what.
I risked life and limb to come here. I drove
took the bridge?
over the bridge.
Did you close your eyes when the driver?
I was happy that it was foggy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that made me happy because I can't see
Actually,
what's
that's
going
not good,
on.
by the way. That's exactly what you don't want. Because if you can't see, neither can the other drivers. So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
minor detail.
I did feel a little faint halfway across.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff, ever since 9/11, has had a kind of a phobia of crossing bridges, understandably.
Especially suspension bridges.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah.
Jeff was in New York City, was on the New Jersey PATH train when the towers went down in New York City.
Yep.
And you came out of the path into the path of a lot of dust and debris and rubble.
Once the number 2 fell. Yeah, I was in.
I know that.
I was in the last PATH train as the first jet hit.
Wow.
I was across the street when the second jet hit.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I was a block away from the South Tower when it came down.
Horrible.
Did not know that.
My wife remains angry with me to this day that I didn't get the hell out of there.
You watched. You were a journalist.
I'm a journalist.
You're a journalist. You run into the...
Yeah. I'll tell you, I've told this before, but going to the 9/11 museum there, where the PATH train is,
Yes.
Where the old station was.
How was it? I've not had the courage to go yet.
I was bawling my eyes out because for that very reason, you see where the first responders are running in as everybody's running out.
Yes.
And there's a melted fire truck at the entrance to the museum. I mean, a truck that was just melted from the heat. I mean, it's just,
I remember the faces of them going into the tower, and they knew what I was too stupid to know.
Yeah.
They knew what they were going into.
Yeah. Anyway, good to have you here. Thank you for braving
Glad
your
you're here.
I
phobias.
survived that and the bridge.
I now have a fear of the letter X.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
What the hickety hawk is going on over there on the Twitter? It is now x.com.
How much did he pay for that domain?
Not enough, because Microsoft and Facebook both own the trademark. And apparently they didn't bother. Because I think, and this is Elon to a T, in his mind, he invented X because back before PayPal, his company was X.com. He's owned X.com ever since. They merged with PayPal, and it was his goal at the time to take Cofinity, which is the company that was run by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, merged with X.com, and they named the merged companies PayPal. But even then, Elon wanted to make the everything app. He said, it's $1 trillion idea. I'm going to call it X.com. And Levchin and Thiel basically forced him out because he was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And
if they think you're
they said, no, we're not going to do the everything company. We're going to do PayPal, which turned out to be the right thing.
Yeah.
And so he's always wanted to do this. And I'm sure in his mind, he thinks, well, I thought of this in 2000, so it's mine.
tough noogies.
It's not how it works, unfortunately. He's already banned in, Sri Lanka or Malaysia, because you can't have a company with the word X, name X in the company.
Oh, wow.
It's an anti-porn restriction. It's bizarre because if you go to X.com, it redirects you still to Twitter.com, but they did rename some Twitter things to X. It's a very weird, ill-planned conversion.
So it's like if you let high school students be in charge of a branding exercise. I mean, that is what it's like. It's like letting just someone, your intern, take care of renaming the company.
It's the high school students who are in detention.
He had, and you probably saw the video, he had scissor trucks come out to start taking down the Twitter from the front of the building. But it turns out he didn't get a permit because, again, I'm Elon Musk. I don't have to. And the police stopped him after they got TWITT down. So just on the front it said,
Emergency response.
I presume by now it's all down. But this is Elon Musk in a nutshell. He's not a planner.
He took a beloved brand.
What if it wasn't necessarily about planning? What if it was, I can do whatever the hell I want?
Well, it is, right?
Let me just take these letters down.
Literally, that's what it is. Their rules don't apply to me. He's famous for, and Linda Yaccarino, the new CEO, kind of kissed his ring when she sent out her first memo saying, we're going to do this all from first principles. This is what Elon Stans say is his secret recipe for genius, is instead of taking as given what people tell him, he says, we're going to break it down and we're going to start at first principles, which that's not what that means. What he really is saying is, no, we're going to do it my way. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter.
I'm so sad because I had the little, what are they called, the ears from the browser? The little things there. I had
tabs.
The little gravitar.
The little icons.
Yeah, the icon. There's a name for it.
Yeah.
What? Navicon. Thank you.
Navicon.
So I still had the birds until this morning.
And the birds are gone now.
The birds are gone now.
Yeah.
I also, there was one argument online that you call it a tweet, a yeet? And I said that sounds like anal leakage.
It's a yeet.
It's a fart.
Yeet.
Yeah. No,
I know. There's all sorts of things that if you had, spent 5 minutes thinking about, you would have said, oh, well, maybe we should plan this. Just threw it in the air.
Has there been any speculation on what this whole rebranding attempt is supposed to be about, because I remember part of the whole acquisition that he sort of kicked and dragged his feet on is he didn't like the brand of Twitter and wanted to get in and clean things up, yada, yada, yada. And
he did say very early on, I want to make it the everything site. I want it to do payment. But, that's like saying I want to be a billionaire. Okay. But there's a few steps.
There's still some work along the way.
There's still some work. We live in interesting times. It's unaccountable. It's just, here's a guy who has so much money. I mean, big deal. He's worth so much that even losing, it won't be 44 billion because he borrowed 13 billion from the bank. So even losing $31 billion of his own money, it's not a big deal.
You know what's driving me crazy now is that when Trump was in office, the media would take every single tweet of his and write an entire news story about it.
It was
and
easy.
And now they're doing that with Musk.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. It drives me nuts.
His new CEO, so she's basically just been a bit of a puppet, not necessarily.
Oh, she's just going along with. In fact, what was her tweet? I got to read this because it was just so. when it happened on Sunday, it happened over the weekend, and she tweeted, kind of, I guess, her vision for the future of Twitter. I have to get through all the retweets of Elon. Look at, they have a big X on the headquarters tonight.
So that's all she's doing is just amplifying his message.
So great. So here's God, it's business doublespeak, if I can find it.
Bunch of platitudes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
I love those meetings.
Yeah.
Really, come on.
It's an exceedingly rare thing in life or business that you get a second chance to make another big impression. Twitter made one massive impression and changed the way we communicate. Now X will go further, transforming the global town square.
She could have stopped right there, and I'd have been fine with that.
Yeah.
Still be.
For years, fans and critics alike have pushed Twitter to a dream bigger, to innovate faster, to fulfill the great potential. X will do that and more. We've already started to see X take shape over the past 8 months through our rapid feature launches, but we're just getting started. X will be the platform that can deliver, well, everything. Elon Musk and I are looking forward to working with our teams and every single one of our partners to bring X to the world.
I don't think she respects him. She didn't say Mr.
Mr. Musk. You would say Mr. Musk.
If I respect you.
Oh, that's good to know. You don't call me Mr. Laporte, do you?
No of course, Mr. Laporte.
It's just bizarre what's going on over there. I don't know what to say.
I don't have a problem with rebranding. That seems to be.
I do. If you have a brand that's really well known.
If it's really well known for bad stuff.
You think that
considering everybody was leaving Twitter because of its brand of being a troll farm and misinformation.
I would say they were leaving Twitter because it was a troll farm, but the brand was somewhat intact. I think they left with some regret, and there are a lot of people who stayed because it's Twitter.
Yeah, because it's Twitter. Yeah.
And I've heard a number of people say over on Threads that of all the things that Elon did, this was the one that hurt the most. This is the one where it's really like, yeah, I guess it's over.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was a great essay I put in the rundown a couple of weeks ago by Andre Brock Jr., who I quote often on the show, who, talking about Black Twitter, said, I'm not leaving. I'm still not leaving. Still have an investment in this. Still created something here that we couldn't have created elsewhere.
Okay.
So it's not over for everybody.
If you say so.
You brought up Threads. What are you still hanging in there with Threads?
I like Threads and Blue Sky both have promise.
Yes.
When we were talking about Threads with Dan Patterson, who was like almost shaky, saying, but Meta is among the worst companies in the world. This is a company that fostered, genocide among the Rohingya, that supported, a military junta in Myanmar. This is not a good company, and people are just hiding that, putting their heads in their sand when they're joining.
I remember that. That was on Twit.
Yeah, it was on Twit because they're pretending it's not Meta, you know? Oh, it's not Meta.
Well, once again, only Musk could make Zuck look good.
I know he did too, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
All right, so that's enough. The brand rebranding has happened. A few people on Monday said, "Oh, he's just joking. He'll go back," and I think it's permanent now.
Yeah, I think it is. But I'm not going to refer to it as that.
You're gonna call it Twitter still?
Always.
I have to say, as the owner of the Twit trademark, which preceded the Twitter trademark, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, that's
to be honest.
Yeah, I saw someone in our Discord brought up a funny tweet about you and basically saying, "Hey, way to go, Twit TV, and playing the long game."
We hung in there
and winning the battle.
Well, I remember I mentioned this because we were really upset when they named it Twitter, and I interviewed Ev Williams shortly after. I said, "Why'd you call it Twitter? You knew about Twit because you ran Odeo, which owned Twit." He said, "Yeah, we didn't think either of us were going anywhere, so it was okay." Well, guess what, Ev? Look who survived.
Look who's still here.
Look who's still standing. You were right.
The real chief.
Anyway,
Twit,
yeah,
baby.
we had a little battle with them over that. Elon, remember he called himself Chief Twit, which was very annoying to me.
Now he's Chief X.
Chief X, that's good. You be that. You go be Chief X. Enjoy.
Good gosh.
More importantly, the Google annual or quarterly results are out. Good Lord. 79% of their revenue comes from advertising. Is that a surprise? No.
Well, it's down from 98%, so they have managed to diversify considerably.
That's better, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For 2023, the quarter entering June 30th, revenue was $74 million. That was up $5 million from the year before, up 7%. Operating margin is 29%. That's a pretty good margin. That's how much of that is profit.
Is it going down though?
No, it was 28% last quarter. Last year over year quarter. I
was like year over year, quarter over quarter.
Net income. That's the one we care about. $18 billion in 3 months. That's pretty good. Although Microsoft, $20 billion in 3 months. Their quarterly results came out today as well. Microsoft made $72 billion in profit last year.
Dang.
Over the last year. It's amazing.
Do you want
$6 billion a week?
Do you want some crazy numbers?
Yes.
Okay. You know our three cloud providers? Microsoft Cloud. So they basically said at their earnings, Microsoft Cloud surpassed $110 billion in annual revenue. AWS recorded $80.1 billion in revenue.
Oh, that's interesting.
Huh?
And ready? Google Cloud, and they don't break it out, is estimated, Gartner estimates it at $9.1 billion.
1/10. 1/10 of AWS.
Wow.
But I'm surprised Azure beat AWS.
Yeah.
Part of this, though, is accounting, falderall, because Microsoft bundles. We talked about this on Windows Weekly. They put different categories in, and it's very hard. It's really intentional on all these companies. They don't want to be too clear.
There's a way of cooking the books.
Well, let me make a quick clarifying, because if we're lumping, Google Cloud in total was $26.3 billion in 2022.
A little better.
But hold on, they clump their infrastructure business, which is what I said was $9.1 billion, with the workspace business, which to me is not.
Workspace is what we pay for. Google Docs and all that stuff. So that isn't well, I mean, it runs on the cloud. I don't know. Is that their cloud business?
No, I mean, AWS is all cloud. Like that's all infrastructure
Renting
business.
out.
So that's more apples to apples.
Google Cloud was up, according to this, quarter over quarter, year over year, considerably. $8 billion compared to $6.2 billion last year at this time. Other bets, $285 million, up over $193 million this time.
Go Nest.
Go Nest. Search is the biggie, right? But advertising is the biggie of the biggie. $58 billion in advertising.
And how much of search is advertising too?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Search is advertising. What's the
But
revenue
there's no
from
other
search?
there. Well,
It's all
the same.
it's all advertising.
I went to Google yesterday morning, saw Stephen Johnson and saw the team that did NotebookLM, which we can talk about later. But it occurred to me as I was walking around that Google more and more has become a B2B business.
Yeah.
And the B2C.
No.
Well,
Really?
let me
You don't
just,
think
let me
so?
just stay for a second. Then
Okay.
tear me down, Stacey. Tear me down. Advertising is B2B. And a lot of it is advertising service to other companies, right? Hosting, research, all those things. The B2C
Well, and Google
piece
is selling
brands.
advertising to businesses. They're not selling it to
Yes,
individuals.
yes,
That's what I thought.
So Google really is a B2B.
Yeah, and
But
we're
you
Even
know
screwing
that.
up.
search, consumers use search, but the revenue comes from other businesses.
That's what I thought.
That's why we all say that you're not the customer
That's right.
for this
You're
sort
the-
of thing. You're
the product. Yeah.
Well, true of media too.
No, they're not the product. You're not our product. You're our friend.
I think the audience, okay. Yeah. We'll just
Well, Stacey, let me try this. Let me try this scenario.
make your
on you.
point.
If Google were to break up, not that I am in favor of that, I'm not, because I don't think it'll accomplish anything. But if they were to break up, the presumption in the past is they would get rid of part of the ad business or something like that. What if instead they said, Google and YouTube are consumer facing, and we're not very good at that. We kill services all the time. We'll make that a separate company, and Alphabet becomes purely B2B. Advertising services, advertising sales, all of that, plus hosting, plus research, plus those things. That's what I was starting to think that I had the notion of Google kind of reversed, where the consumer businesses are there almost as demonstration projects for what has become their real business. That's my point, Stacey.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah. And I mean, YouTube though is consumer facing, but again, I think what then it would do is turns Google from a tech company to a media company.
Media.
Yeah, which
Nobody
Leo's
wants
been
to
saying
be
for a
that.
long time, that he objects to that lash up, right?
Yeah. Well, I do
I think
if
it's
you
really
want.
good
I
point,
do if what
Stacey.
Google is a search engine, but really, honestly, if it's an ad, if it's an advertising company, of course it's a media company. You have to have something to glue the ad, stick the ads to, like a stamp.
Mm-hmm.
It's billboards.
Yeah. Ad sales rose 4.4% for YouTube in the quarter.
After, I think, a couple quarters of down.
Yep.
So that's a big deal.
Yep. The other big news: Ruth Porat, who has been the slasher, has a new job. She's the one as CFO, was cutting all of the dead weight.
Breaking
At least
our hearts.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how the politics works inside, so maybe yes, maybe no, but she was certainly the face of all of that slashing. She will assume the newly created role of President and Chief Investment Officer for Alphabet, effective September 1st. She'll continue to be CFO. She's not leaving.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Including leading the company's 2024 and long-range capital planning
I thought,
process.
wait. She's, for now, I thought. Until there's a replacement is what I read somewhere.
In her new role, it says,
Wow,
will continue to serve as CFO. I'm looking at the Google press release. In her new role, Ruth will be responsible for Alphabet's investments in its other bets. Did they call her Ruth? Ms. Porat will be responsible for Alphabet. Maybe they don't like her as much.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a reason.
Will be responsible for Alphabet's investments in its other bets portfolio. Other bets is the thing that Ruth Porat has been slowly chopping away at. Working closely with Sundar. If I worked at Verily or Waymo, I'd be a little nervous. And the company's investments in countries and communities around the world. In her new role, said Sundar Pichai, Ms. Porat will strengthen our collaboration with policy makers and shape our corporate investments to yada, yada, yada. I'm excited about this new role, says Ms. Porat, and the opportunity to engage with leaders globally to unlock global growth via technology and investment.
CNBC says she will continue as CFO until Alphabet selects a replacement.
Okay. But she's going to lead the long-range capital planning process for 2024. Oh, you're right. I missed the rest of the sentence. While the company searches for and selects her successor. You're absolutely right. I missed that whole
detail.
Second clause.
You're just like an LLM, Leo.
Yeah. I saw the first
hallucinated.
Anyway, a good quarter. Ad sales are up.
Yeah.
YouTube's doing well. Alphabet tops the market's estimates, so I'm sure that's good for the stock market, which is good for Google, right?
And the diversification is really important. It really was 98% advertising back in the day. So,
wow.
It takes time to juggle that tightrope from going from one business to another, especially one is with such high profit margins.
Right. And it works. It flat out works.
2 billion logged in monthly users watching YouTube Shorts. That's a success.
It always seems like they're watching underwear.
Really?
It's TikTok.
Yeah.
It's Google's TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
it's like 2 billion people are using something and I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah. Last year the number was 1.5 billion, so it's going up. I asked my son. Remember, Henry created a TikTok channel that was pretty successful, pretty viral, more than 2 million followers. He says Shorts is my new platform, pretty much. I said, is it Reels? Is it Insta? Is it TikTok? He said, yeah, I'm still on TikTok, but really Shorts is YouTube is where I want to be. And I think that's because from a creator's point of view, that's where the money is.
Yes.
People look at Mr. Beast and say, wow, you can get rich on YouTube if you're successful. TikTok, while you get the engagement, you get the audience, the algorithm supports you, you don't get the money. So.
No,
and you can subscribe.
You don't even necessarily get the engagement. You just get following on TikTok.
Right. And whether or not you're going to get fed.
That's the difference.
I follow Henry and I never get Henry.
Right. But I mean,
I subscribe.
I know
to
YouTube. I know YouTubers say hit the subscribe button and all that, but that doesn't make you show up more, does it?
No. We were just talking about this yesterday in the photography and creative arts channel in our Club Twit Discord, by the way. My subscriber count, I think I have over 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. But when I look at my analytics, it may be 1% of my subscribers actually watching my videos.
Really?
Wow. The rest of the views are from everywhere else, from search
from
and search terms and things like that.
I'm looking at the things I'm subscribed to here, but that's when I click the subscriptions button. They don't show up here in the recommendations.
Yeah, recommendations are always totally different for me.
Although, frankly, these are the ones I'd rather watch.
Yeah, and that was another argument.
They're
I
very
think the
good at
recommendations does really well for me. Our members disagree. Well, some of our members disagreed, but for me, I will turn on YouTube on the television, watch and sit on my couch and watch as if I'm watching a
not your subscriptions, but the recommendations.
Yeah, the recommendations. Yeah,
and that's by the way, that's the lesson learned by TikTok. The lesson learned by Twitter now with the For You button, and even Threads has now introduced that. They were For You. They were algorithmically driven for the first few weeks.
I wasn't a fan of that. I'm glad they got.
This is what remember when Netflix sent you DVDs in the mail, and they had like
I don't know.
Everyone
not that
had
old.
their aspirational DVDs, and Netflix knew, and they would be like, yeah, okay, these are going to sit on you're going to have them for like four weeks before you give up and send them back. We subscribe to things like that's our aspirational self. And then we click on things that we're like, oh yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I do need to clean up my YouTube subscriptions. But I just enjoy what YouTube has figured out about me. And that's partly, I'm sure, because of me hitting like and dislike on things too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, they can tell how long you watch something and where you stop. I think that's probably, they're following. I mean, you know how they're like your actions show who you are, not your words. The tech companies, they have all the ability to see our actions, and they can say, yeah, here's the chance to tell me what you like.
Yeah, this is where he scrolled past, and this is where he paused his scrolling, that kind of thing.
Yeah, pollsters, when they ask what TV channels people watch, they will always say public broadcast.
Yes.
When it actually comes down to ratings, it ain't public broadcasting, right?
No.
People are not good self-reporters.
Unless you're my husband, I swear, every time I get in the car, NPR, I'm like, he is listening to NPR.
Well, that's because he's a pinko liberal left wing.
Now, with a lot of the people using their mobile phones to consume this stuff, I wonder if the whole YouTube Shorts number going up is because it was sort of force fed. When you open up YouTube on the mobile app, that's pretty much the first things I see.
I
scroll
past
on
Facebook too.
Really?
I end up watching the damn things, and I don't mean to. I don't want to. It's another Irish setter, so I love seeing it.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, but it'll get me once in a while, and I'll say.
So I'm wondering if that's part of it too. The same way Threads just sort of force feeds some different things to us.
I wish they'd given us better. And companies don't do this anymore, breakdowns of where the money came from. For instance, how much money did they make on Sunday Ticket compared to how much they spent on the NFL, right? Yep. They started subscriptions in April.
0.
Yeah.
They
really
still have
expensive.
those breakdowns. They just don't tell us.
They know. Oh, gosh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's
know.
what Ruth is looking at.
Yeah, right. But generally accepted accounting practice is not necessarily what
principles.
Principles is not what we're going to hear. Google did say that it is reaching 150 million people on connected TV screens in the U.S.
So a growth opportunity.
That means people
that's
doing
half
what
of
you were
it.
doing, watching it on TV. What
But
does that
every
mean?
TV is a connected TV.
Yeah.
We're
Only
the
74% of connected TVs are connected TVs this year.
All the TVs basically are connected.
I'm like,
Right.
that's a throwaway
74%. That's
But I guess that's compared to watching YouTube on your phone, right, or your computer. They're watching on their TVs. But that's what you just said.
Yeah, I watch on my television.
Yeah,
I watch on my television most of the
that's
time.
what young people. I remember coming home and seeing Henry when he was in high school with his buddies sitting watching YouTube on the TV. Yeah. It's like, you can. There's HBO. No, we want to watch.
They don't watch it on the TV. They watch it on an iPad or their laptop.
Well, it depends what's there, right? And they were listening to music. They were actually using it as a music player as much as anything else. Company did announce that it has. They last year said that we have 80 million paid users on YouTube Premium and Music. They did not give a number this time.
I'm thinking of canceling that.
They
just raised the price hugly.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you something. Because you will cancel it, and then you will see how many ads you get on YouTube, and you will immediately sign up.
Don't do it.
It is so bad. I don't know how people watch YouTube without having
it's really bad.
Or ad blocking.
Maybe you just don't watch YouTube.
What?
What?
Get real.
Wait a minute.
What's the show called?
I don't spend that much time on YouTube. I mean, I watch Hot Ones occasionally or the random clips.
You got to watch Hot Ones or
somebody hasn't found. You just haven't found the thing. But
Hot Ones is my thing.
Well, you watch it then. How often do you watch it?
To me, I want to get on here and watch Hans Zimmer. In their concerts.
Honestly, I watch stuff on YouTube and I feel guilty that I don't watch more stuff. It's like, there's so much good stuff here. I should be looking at YouTube more
All of this
often.
is
I feel like I'm violating Ant's privacy.
No, all of this is stuff that I would watch.
Easy way to lose weight.
Easy way. That's Huberman.
I like
Huberman's podcast, Tom Segura. There's Georgia Dow, MKBHD up here, airline pilot guy. They know me. Ribs for my wife.
Ribs for my wife.
Ribs for my wife.
Wow.
Giving them back after Adam took it.
YouTube knows me.
Yeah, no, that's full circle. Preparing for the shutdown. What's that?
That I don't know. No. That's the Mercedes-Benz F1 team.
Oh.
Yeah, I've watched it. I've watched a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
Too. That is
I like F1 on the YouTube. I watch a lot of that too. All right. It's like Reddit. Reddit does the same thing. You tell it what you want and you're going to get a lot of content you like, and it makes it very sticky.
So Scooter X has the number. It's going from $9.99 a month to $13.99 a month. That is a big.
Oh, that is a big increase.
I'm on the family plan, so I'm over 20. Wow. For mine. But the thing is, Mr. Jarvis, my card expired a couple of years ago, and I didn't think anything about it. And it was almost like we all at the same time decided to watch YouTube in the house, and everybody yelled, "What is wrong with these ads?"
It's so bad. There's a lot of pre-roll. They interrupt in the middle to show something. Yeah.
Yes.
The worst is when they interrupt music.
Oh, dude.
Wait a minute. You'll get an ad in a song?
That's just
happened to
wrong.
me. It's
in the
happened.
middle of a song? That is terrible.
Okay, Leo, I've got the new business model here.
We should just stop right now and play an ad.
Right in the middle of a sentence. Lisa, stick an ad in.
No,
Right?
no, don't. No, please, I beg of you. We've had that specific conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get those emails.
If that happens, tell us because we don't. It's not supposed to. The way it works, and it isn't going to be on this show because we have 3 ads. But if say we had 2 ads, we have 3 slots for 3. That third slot, I would, and you've heard me do it probably. I would say, we'll be coming up. We're going to take your picks of the week, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll do it. And they're supposed to put a tone in, right? Is that what it is, Benito? You like.
No, it's like a marker.
So it's a marker on the timeline.
Nobody else used that mic.
Did you just hear an ad? Did it work?
Leo, the appropriate marker is
That one.
What does it sound like, Benito? Does it have a sound?
No, it's just like a little line you put in the timeline.
Okay.
But it must something.
So like color bars.
How do they know? Because you're going to compress it down and send them an MP4, right? So what do they get in the MP4 that tells their machinery, put an ad here?
I think it just lines up with the time code. It just says like, okay.
Oh, it's a time code.
Yeah, it's a time code.
Okay, well, let's get it right because we don't want to interrupt me in the middle of a sentence.
Oops.
Street View is back after a hiatus of 10 years. We used to call Germany Blurmany because for some reason they were very privacy focused. They always would blur their houses.
So I put in a video after the story.
for some reason.
Datenschutz.
What's that mean? Datenschutz.
Data protection. They don't really have a word for privacy. The word for privacy is data protection, which is kind of
Good
interesting.
on them.
So
this is one of the countries to shun the service early on was Germany, where privacy outcries, Datenschutz, and lawsuits led to German Google halting the Street View rollout in 2011 after only covering about 20 big cities. Oh, I didn't know that. They just stopped.
So the on line 37, it's a long video, but it's a good video. This guy goes back on the story of how this all happened at the beginning. It was one politician in one small village who decided, I'm going to object to my house being this, and I'm going to go out. And he used it for political ends, and that's what spreads. It was one little village in Germany that then spread around.
They formed a human chain to keep the Google Street View car from driving down their streets because they were afraid of crime. You will see our house. You will see how beautiful it is. You will burglarize it. Was that the theory?
The theory was the politicians saw a good
Is politics.
Enemy.
Yeah.
And so now.
But Stacey, you believe that because you just said, when I said, why would you do it? You said, what do you mean, why would you do it?
If you're concerned about people finding out where you live, it's like if you.
It's not like you have a sign in the window that says, I live
Stacey
here. I mean, you could drive by my house and see it anyway.
I think you can look up my address. Let's see if I can look up my address.
Oh, yeah. No, that you don't even have to do that.
I mean,
of course you can, because all of that stuff's public record unless you take extra.
And then you can put it there, and then you can see my actual house.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you can. I mean, what if I have then maybe my car's parked out there, and you get my driver's license?
Yeah,
my license.
You could drive over and do that, but that's the point. Is anybody anywhere in the world could do it without coming over?
It just reduces the friction.
Yeah.
Is kind of to find out a little bit more about someone. Or maybe I don't want you to know that I live in a massive mansion.
Do you blur your mansion?
I don't live in a massive mansion.
But do you blur it?
No, I don't.
I don't know that,
right? You can
I'm
go
not sure that you can do that in other countries.
You can't. Yeah, you can blur
Can you?
it. Oh, yeah.
Really?
You can ask them. Also, the Street View car, my house is now set back enough from the road that it's less problematic. But I hated the fact that my rooftop deck in my old house was visible on the aerial satellite views. You could see the little platform.
You could see what you were working on.
You couldn't see me. I wasn't out when they did that particular shot. But it is kind of intrusive.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to Google Maps. This is according to Mashable. Go to Google Maps and search for your address. and then enter Street View by tapping on that weird yellow man.
Mm-hmm.
And then when your house is in view, click report a problem. Oh, that's ridiculous. And then center the red box in your home and select my home in the request blurring field. So you could say, please blur this. You see here, this area was blurred.
Better yet, you can just try to keep your address.
Oh, and what would you
information
like
off
us
the
to
web.
blur? A face, my home, my license plate?
Oh, because they
different
do
options.
blur license plates.
Yeah. Yeah, if
they do.
If it's not blurred, they missed it somehow,
Yeah.
right?
So that's why it's a problem.
Yeah, everything I've ever looked at's been blurred. Even the picture of my uncle in my grandma's front yard.
Faces get blurred.
He
Yeah.
was blurred out.
Did his behind get blurred when he
His
when he,
behind didn't get blurred.
when he If you saw the Google Street View car, would you immediately drop trow?
No.
I have no comment.
I know people who would give it the finger.
Yeah.
Blur that.
It's kind of fun to go around in all of this and see how people respond, because you do see people in Street View making rude gestures and various things. All right, let me go here. No, this is giving me rooting. I don't know what. This is telling me how many times I've gone to work. I don't.
Too many, Leo.
There's a
Too
loop.
few,
It's
I
just
think
a
many
loop.
would say. I don't know what's going. This somehow I got my timeline. I don't want that.
There you go. You just trying to find a location? Just click on.
Yeah, I want to, and then I want the little yellow man. Okay, there's the Jack in the Box. So you turn left to the Jack in the Box, and you go down the street. Here it is. Here's Twit. Okay, there's Twit. Now where's the yellow man?
It's on the bottom.
There
right.
we go. Here's the yellow man.
And then click on the blue street. Nope. Click on that.
Oh, and then this has how you go there. Okay. Now, oh, good. Here we go. Now I could then say report a problem.
Where's the twit sign?
There it is. You can see it if I go down here.
Well, you want to go down and so it's in front of it.
Boy, they did this. It had just rained.
There
we
go.
go. That's what I should blur.
Which
right?
car were you driving then?
Oh yeah. Look at all the driver's
tags
licenses
are
blurred.
blurred, right? Yeah. Looks like the tags
Yeah,
are
they
blurred.
auto blur it.
None of these are my car.
You weren't working that day,
I
you
I
Leo.
wasn't. I wasn't.
We caught you, Leo.
Caught me. This
That
is a
shot
day
was
off.
taken at 9 a.m. He's
Maybe
not up
because
at
it's a
that time.
business, I can't report a problem. Maybe that's why.
Maybe you don't own the building.
You should still be able to report a problem if it's a business.
Here, do you want my old address?
No, it's okay. But anyway, so
you don't want to do that to your...
I don't want to blur, actually. Yeah, no, you're right. Anyway, somewhere around here, there'll be a reporter problem.
But the funny thing about Germany is, so this has been out, I guess, for 2 weeks, that they're returning to Germany, and there's not been a peep. Not a single peep.
Because you got to get that one politician.
Well, the guy in the video returned to the town and tried to find the politician. He's dead. Because it's been, 10 years since they left.
It's interesting. If you had blurred it 10 years ago, maybe you would, I don't know. Entdeck Deutschland mit Google Street View. Is this, are they celebrating? Is this happy news, it looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, with an exclamation mark and everything. Yeah. There's the little yellow man floating over in a balloon. All right. Let's take a little break.
I think people wanted to actually see the restaurant they were going to, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think Street View is very useful.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do too. I use it a lot.
Especially when trying to figure out how to park.
Maybe what we need to do is get some burglars on the line and ask them.
We don't have burglars
If it's
in
useful.
our audience.
If you are
No, I wonder about that Keith 512 and that Dwindle and that, especially that Scooter It's name.
oh,
that
he's
keeps popping up.
definitely a burglar. Actually, you know where you go to find all the Twit community? You don't even, and we don't blur it or anything. It's Discourse. We are big fans of our Twit community on Discourse. We've been using Discourse for 3 or 4 years now, and I'm very pleased they've become a sponsor, which is great. It's the online home for our community. It could be the online home for your community, too. For more than a decade, Discourse has made it their mission to make the internet a better place for online communities. I learned about Discourse from an expert in online communities, John O. Bacon, who said, "You don't have a Discourse?" I said, "No." He said, "You got to do it." This was in a Triangulation episode a few years ago, so I did. Couldn't have been easier to set it up. It's been great ever since. By harnessing the power of discussion, real-time chat, and, yes, AI, Discourse makes it easy to have meaningful conversations and collaborate with your community anytime, anywhere. I would love for you to join our discourse at twit.community. Take a look at what we've done there. And then if it's time for your business or your club or your group or your family to create a community, visit discourse.org/twit and you'll get 1 month free on all self-serve plans. Discourse is used. It's funny. Once I started using Discourse, I started seeing it everywhere. All the biggest companies in the world use Discourse. We love it because it's open source. More than 20,000 online communities. And I've used forum software in the past that's been hard to use or buggy or unreliable. Discourse has never been anything but sweet. Very smooth, very fast, very easy to manage, administer, and I think for our users, very easy to participate in. Whether you're just starting out or want to take your community to the next level, there's a plan for you. There's a basic plan for private invite-only communities. That'd be great for your family, for instance. A standard plan if you want unlimited members and a public presence. We use the business plan, of course, for active customer support communities. Jonathan Balavo, who's a developer advocate at Twitch, said Discourse, and this is a quote, direct quote, is the most amazing thing we've ever used. We've never experienced software so reliable, ever. It is. It is super reliable. Discourse hosts our twit.community. They do a great job. One of the biggest advantages to creating your own community with Discourse is you own your own data. Oh, there's Jono Bacon. Community. There he is, right there. You will always have access to all of your conversation history. Discourse never will sell your data to advertisers. There's no advertising on our Discourse. You know, Discourse is for your community, and it gives you everything you need in one place. And as the guy, I administer this. Paul Holder helps me out. He kind of volunteered, but it's easy for us, just the two of us, to manage the whole place because the tools are so good. Make Discourse the online home for your community. Visit discourse.org/twit. Get 1 month free on all self-serve plans. Discourse.org/twit. And if you want to see what it's like to be in a Discourse community, you spend a lot of time in there. Discourse, our Discourse is at twit.community, and we love it.
A lot of fun conversations in there. Like I said,
and very affordable.
They go in there and they'll talk about, basically have some reactions to the show. And
that's our place for, in a way, I didn't want to, we turned off YouTube comments because it's too hard to moderate it and all that. Right. So this is all here. Every time a show is posted, I have a Zapier script that creates a new thread on Discord for it automatically. So every episode of every show, including this one, is here. And then people go in there and make their comments. Here's a guy who didn't like the show. And you responded, which is great.
What's your problem?
No, I mean, but that's kind of the fun part about it. And then people post other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Every now and then we get some dissertations in there too.
That's okay. That's okay.
It is good. It's okay. Yeah. It's been quite informative. You get different perspectives.
Somebody here's a picture of me. We were talking about Steve mentioned that he could hear in the background of Security Now a beep every once in a while. We thought it was a smoke detector. So we ended up talking about smoke detectors. And then I said, well, I can't figure out, I have these smoke detectors I took off and I don't know where to put them. And we had a big, long discussion about the americium radioactive material in the smoke detectors. And apparently it's completely legal to throw it in the landfill, even though it's a half-life of americium is pretty long. It decays into neptunium-237 with a half-life of 2.14 million years. And I said, well,
dissertation.
We initially we thought about eating them, but we decided instead. I had them in the back seat. My friends got in the car and said, "Why do you have smoke detectors in your back seat?" I said, "Because I don't know where to put them in the back of the house. I don't want to leave them in the house, so they're in my car driving around with them."
Unbelievable.
So you radiate yourself.
Yeah, better me. Anyway, these are the kinds of conversations we have at twit.community. Moving along, let's see. There's not a lot of stories today. It's kind of a...
Do you want to hear about my visit to Google?
Oh, yes. So you're very efficient because you spoke last night at the Commonwealth Club, and when did you go to Google?
Yesterday morning.
Yesterday. Okay, so you flew in on Monday.
Yeah, flew in on Monday. Hit my used bookstores, which I like to do. Bought a book about the linotype and unions.
Because you lived in San Francisco for years. Because I know I used to read you in the Examiner?
Examiner.
Yeah. So
Homecoming,
it's like going back to the old town.
Yeah. So I went down to Google. Stephen Johnson is there now at NotebookLM.
I want to hear what this is.
That's what I'm going to tell you about. So, but Stephen's a wonderful guy. He's written 15 books. He's nicest guy on earth and very, very smart and very generous. And I was surprised to hear that he was working at Google. And he wrote a Medium post about this a few weeks ago. And he is the editorial director of NotebookLM, which I love that they now have that title inside Google.
Because NotebookLM sounds like an AI notebook.
It is, in essence. So I got a demonstration of it, and I got into it as well. I thought I might be able to demonstrate it on the show, but I double-checked, and there's no greater force in Silicon Valley than comms. So you want to be careful about comms.
Never ask them.
Right. So I won't demo it.
It's in their Project Tailwind, but you have to sign up for it? Or
Yeah, and I got let in.
Okay.
But they demoed as well. So, for example, yesterday they put in...
They showed this at Google I/O. This was actually, when they showed it, you said this was one of the things that you were most interested in that they showed.
Yeah, and then suddenly I see that it's Stephen Johnson who's working on it.
Nice. Because
Stephen has worked, he told me he talked for years and years about the tool that he wanted. He's terribly organized, unlike me. So every single quote of a book he reads in Amazon, he has saved. He has thousands of quotes that he has saved. Attributed to the source so he can use them in books. Well, now he can, for example, pull that into NotebookLM and then query it, ask it questions. Who said this? Who all talked about this? And so on and so forth. Yesterday they put in, when I was there, the earnings report for Google. And
wow.
Yeah, so it comes back and it gives you the summary. Revenues,
this would be great for me.
Yeah,
with these news stories.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. It gives you key topics for it, and then you can try questions. So give me a question. I'm not really demonstrating it here. I'm just going to not demonstrate it. Give me a question to ask of the Google report.
Why don't you, Stacy?
What was the breakout of revenue for YouTube Premium versus ad revenue?
Well, they didn't do that, so it's going to tell you to F off.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it'll make up something useful. No.
How much has Google Cloud revenue increased in the last 5 years?
Perfect. I want a graph.
And graph it.
I'm joining the wait list. You can go to notebooklm.google.com and sign up for a wait list. So.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't find enough context to the document. So it said it couldn't.
I love that, though. That's what it should say.
This is not
something up.
You give it a document, it does just that document.
Yeah.
That's what gives me the most hope about this, is that it's not going off and finding stuff you can't figure out where. It is saying, you give me this document. With that document in hand, I will give you a glossary. I will tell you. I did one document and I said, who does it quote? Give me a list of who quotes. Glossary is what they demonstrated at I/O. But the fact that I can query my own documents, I think is amazing. But this is augmentative. It's not trying to replace the writer. It's trying to help the writer organize their work. And, they asked me how I work. And I said, well, I'm a slob. So for Gutenberg, I have two or three huge files of paper that I print out so I can mark it up and put stars by it and put X's when I disagree and all kinds of stuff.
I love that. Old school.
Well, I would change my way of working now. I would get a Remarkable 2 or something, and I would mark up the PDFs so that I could import the PDFs into, right now it just works with Google Docs, but import them in as Google Docs, and then I could start to query my own stuff and find out trends or that I'm missing, find out quotes that I missed, or who the hell said that? I know somebody did. It'd be quite amazing. So it's impressive. And I just met with the team and they're fairly early on. They hope to, I think everybody will get in by the fall.
Oh, good. The example they used at I/O, which I thought was really great, was taking a bunch of lecture notes and class notes and documents and putting them in one database. And now you have this great tool as a student to ask questions, to understand a lecture, to summarize a lecture. It just really seems like a great
Did they
tool.
talk about privacy? Because like one of the things that I think.
Go ahead.
What did they say?
Sorry. No, you go ahead.
Well, so like as a journalist, I talk to people under embargo, for example, and I write my notes, you know, and then I don't know if I'd feel secure putting my notes in there, or, I mean, I don't, if I'm actually doing something off the record, like a whole meeting is off the record, then my notes like won't have their name. But sometimes people will take something off the record in like my notes. They're like, oh, let's take this off the record. Then they'll tell me something.
I asked that question, Stacey, because that case where the Samsung people put stuff into ChatGPT and then it started showing up all over. They said that your data will not teach the model and will not be used anywhere else. Now, you're trusting Google but it's already in your Google Docs.
I mean, like I already write in Google Docs. I get my email. I mean, I'm accepting embargoes in Gmail.
Right, exactly.
You know,
so I think as long as the fact that it's going to eliminate, the model becomes smart, the model knows how to do stuff, then the model is put to specific corpuses, corpi,
maybe.
Corpus, corpum.
How about corpses?
Corpses.
Of data.
Corpora.
Where you can, corpora. Thank you very much.
I had to think of it. Latin's been a long time.
Yeah.
That was
Did you go to Yale?
I did, yes. Thank you very much for asking. I went to the best school in New Haven.
But the fact that this can you can limit what this looks at and you can verify it, I think is just critical. And it's a lot smarter than the companies that are using LLMs to write news stories. I think it's the dumbest thing you can do.
I actually want this. Mashed Potato said this would be great for the changelog. I could put all the changelog articles in.
Yep.
And say, write me a 5-minute or actually 5-second changelog, and we could whiz through that.
Yeah. So I think so. I put in
Why do they need an editorial director though? What does that mean?
So what it means is that he's the product person he's a local customer, I think.
Okay.
I think Stephen there is a writer, and they went and they talked to a bunch of NYU students.
Here's a question. Maybe this is more for Stacey. This is an LLM trained exclusively, right, on the stuff you give it?
They're using a model that Google has.
Okay, so it's been trained on other stuff.
The data that you have.
So I guess, and it's trained on other stuff so that it has grammar and sentence structure.
It has the whole magic.
It understands how to
LLM.
speak.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I would love this, even if it's not privacy focused, if I could send my entire website through there, every story I've written about the IoT. And then so I could be like, hey, when did Amazon announce its deal for Roomba?
Right.
What was the price?
Right.
And then it will give it to me and I don't have to go look it up. And then
could probably even make the newsletter easier for you too. This is the stuff that I posted this week. Here's some highlights.
So, by the way, according to Wiktionary, the plural of corpus is corpi. That is wrong.
I said corpi.
Well,
it's
this
wrong.
internet thing.
It's wrong. Wait a minute. Let me go. I think it's corpora. Let me see.
Which source are you going to trust, sir?
This is the Apache Software Foundation,
My brain.
which is not helpful.
Okay, corpus is a neuter noun, not a masculine. For masculine, it'd be corpus corpi. It's neuter,
Must have hurt.
which is not male or female. Neuter nouns are pluralized with corpora. My memory was good. It's accurate. Or is the word masculine?
Merriam-Webster says corpora.
Yeah, because Merriam-Webster's right. I wish they'd ask this on Jeopardy. Why don't they ever ask this on Jeopardy? That's what I wanted.
You would have gotten it wrong.
Because you would have been sent home.
I would have been slow and figured that out.
Oh, do they really think so? Corpora is also the definition is the body of a human or animal, especially when dead.
Yeah, body's a body.
Yeah, it's a corpse. That's where the word corpse comes from.
I know, but that's
or
what
body
are.
of
I didn't know
information.
corpus was a synonym.
Body of
for
information,
corpses.
right?
Right. I just thought it was an information, not a physical thing.
Well, this is often the case with
metaphoric
Latin words. They assume a new.
What about a body of water? Is that a corpora?
I don't know.
So
it
I put in
depends on if it's surrounded by land or not. No.
Wait a minute. A body of water that's not surrounded by land is what?
Water.
An ocean.
An ocean? No, oceans are surrounded by.
It's still
We're
water.
not surrounded.
Okay, this show
No,
has
lakes
really
are surrounded.
gotten messed
And if
up.
it's surrounded
Anyway,
on like a few sides, bays.
thank you for going to Google and talking. So these guys still welcome you as one of their own, as a friend.
No, just a friend. So I was in the labs area because they got rid of the old labs, and this is a new labs that's more product focused. And then I had yes, folks, I had lunch there. By the way,
Oh.
so I was quoted in the New York Times story about a different project, which Project Genesis, which is supposed to help journalists, and somebody put up on Twitter and said, "Well, Jarvis is paid by Google," and I said, "No, I'm not." Then he came back and he said, "Well, you gave a policy talk there in 2011." I thought, "Oh hell!"
Did they pay you?
I
for
looked
that?
up my email because I thought maybe I don't think so. I think I've been good about this. I looked at my email. They wouldn't pay my expenses. I lost money on it.
He pays Google to
Yeah.
talk to them.
Yeah. So
All right,
I
we're going
took
to
it
take a
down.
little break. When we come back, we'll have a musical interlude. We're going to have a little singing
Oh boy.
here in the
Oh,
studio,
boy.
right?
This is scary.
I'm excited. I'm excited. The Queen is in the
Queen
in the
Pruitt
house.
has shown up, y'all.
Are you going to sing for us? I hear you.
Yes.
I hear you.
The right answer is yes.
I hear you're working on a new musical. No? Mm-mm.
What's
No.
the new musical?
She wanted to come here and say hello to Mr. Jarvis because he's in town.
And I wanted to be able to say hello to you.
All right. So even better, after this commercial, there will be no singing.
Good.
Oh, I think that's very good.
I promise.
What's the new musical?
I'm trying not to do another musical.
Oh, so now,
they
yeah.
want her.
It drives him
They
crazy.
keep
That's all
pulling
this-
her in.
Yeah, musicals is all that's out there.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, but I'm learning. I have to find my voice.
Well, let's hear a little. What would your voice sound like if you found it?
Put you on the spot.
I mean, can I get a breath? Like, I just came in.
Okay, take a breath. That's why I was going to do the
Get
ad.
a chance to warm up.
I want a high C, okay? When we come back, okay? Can you sing something from the SpongeBob musical?
SpongeBob. Your greatest hits.
One of your greatest hits. All right. You have some time. Get your wind back. And although that sounded pretty good. This is what you hear around
Yeah, I
the
was
house.
like,
All
that
the
sounded
time.
better than
Yeah.
anything I could do.
Yeah.
Well, that's stemming with faint praise, Stacey.
Okay, that is true.
Our
How did you
show-
know I was
You're honest about that, Stacey.
Our show today brought to you by AWS Insiders, a fast-paced, entertaining, insightful look behind the scenes of Amazon Web Services and cloud computing. But we're not talking your typical Talking Heads Tech podcast. It's high production value, high energy, high entertainment, full of captivating stories from the early days of AWS today and beyond. And really, a lot of it comes down to the host, Rahul Subramaniam, who's a great host, Hillary Doyle, who joins him. They dig into the current state and future of AWS by talking with the people and companies that know it best. Rahul is a veteran AWS pro, 15 years experience managing more than 45,000 AWS instances. He's known for pushing AWS products to their limits, for believing AWS is truly the operating system of the future, and he's funny too. He's a lot of fun. AWS Insiders is a show that's full of opinions, takeaways, and untold stories about the challenges, innovations, and the mind-blowing promise of cloud computing. Season 2, Episode 3, you must absolutely listen to. They do talk a lot about AI. Episode 6 is a future of AI with regard to AWS, but I loved the story of Moderna and mRNA and AWS. Rahul Hillary, and Moderna's Director of Data Engineering and Cloud Architecture, talked about how Moderna depends on the cloud to do their work. Fascinating. Episode 5, The Price is Wrong, How to Save on AWS. So you can get some really valuable stuff in there. The guest on How to Save is Stephen Barnett. He's really knowledgeable about getting the best deal. Check it all out. AWS Insiders. Look for it in your podcast player, or visit cloudfix.aurea.com/podcast, cloudfix.aurea.com/podcast. We also include a link in the show notes, or just search for it in your favorite podcast player. And thanks to AWS Insiders for their support. AWS Insiders, really great show.
One more update from Google.
One more update from Google, says
important
Jeff
update from
Jarvis.
Google.
Yes.
No dessert.
What?
Really?
No dessert.
You bought lunch, but they didn't give you dessert?
Yeah, I had a packaged sandwich, which is fine. It was free, and you can't buy me with a sandwich. And there was a huge line out the building for whatever they were serving in the main thing, and there was no dessert. I wanted a cookie.
They're
There's
being
no
healthy.
cookies.
Come on.
In the old days, they would have M&Ms and jars
They
and
would
fatten
Swedish
you up.
fish.
Yeah, now
And I think it's good. They've gotten rid of all
I
that
got
stuff.
I got some dried pineapple.
Much better for you.
Yeah, I know, but geez,
Baloney.
Makes
No.
you taste better, too.
no bologna either. No
No bologna.
Only good things are good.
I would go for dried mango. That stuff's
Yeah, dry fruit's
delicious.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about numbers. A spreadsheet leaked out from Google. Business Insider got it. Data voluntary submitted by over 12,000 Google employees for the year 2022. Software engineers, business analysts, salespeople. Insider ran it through NotebookLM. No, they didn't. That would be insulting. They did analyze it, and they have a table of searchable roles with data on salary, the minimum and maximum base salaries, equity, and bonuses. And sometimes those bonuses are hefty. The highest paid software engineer in the data, a level 7 employee software engineer, base salary $718,000 a year. Most software engineers did not get that much. In fact, they ranged from $100,000 to $375,000 a year. Those are very hot in demand.
They got to be
salaries,
really, really
right?
good.
Well, how many levels are there in the?
Well,
reads
I'm
that it's
guessing they
Google?
if he's making $718,000 a year at level 7, I think there is no level 8.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be.
But do you think even someone at that pay scale, are they treated more like mercenaries? They're just there for the job.
I bet you.
Be a year.
That's, by the
2
way,
years.
just base salary, not including stock.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because I didn't know any. I'm not going to sit here and say I know any level 7 devs, but the ones that I know that are really good, they're pretty much mercenaries. They don't stick around very long.
Sorry. Yeah. So there's a software engineer level 2. I guess you don't want any ones at Google. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then the principal engineer is level 8 director.
Oh.
Distinguished engineer is level 9 senior director.
Oh.
And pardon me, there was an ad blocker in here. A Google fellow or is a level 10 or vice president.
None of those people were in the spreadsheet.
And a
by the
Google
way.
senior
None of those
software
people
engineer
contributed.
is level 11.
Oh, so it does go a lot higher.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
This guy has a future, or gal.
Cloud sales, 302,000. Research scientist, 309,000. UX design, 315,000. The highest equity at Google. This is the stock participation. Wow. I think this must be per year. Software engineer, $1.5 million. Wow. That's why stock is so important, right?
Yeah.
And there was an engineer who got a $605,000 bonus. Do you think people told the truth in this? I got $1 million. I think they must have, right? This is anyway, interesting if you're interested in a job at Google. It's what you'd expect. It pays well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't get dessert. No dessert.
For you.
Whatever happened to Erica Joy Baker? Since we're talking about spreadsheets and salaries, y'all remember her from Google?
I remember Erica Joy. She's Baker, but was her married
she's
name?
Baker.
Yeah.
I remember she got married a couple of years ago. I don't know what else has happened with her because she went from Google, then she ended up at Slack at some point.
She is now an engineer for the San Francisco Bay Area, Chief Technology Officer for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee.
Oh.
She was great. I used to follow her on Twitter. Absolutely, yeah. She's still around.
Good for her.
Still around, but now working in politics, it sounds like, or working for the city.
Good.
What is the Web Integrity API?
It's pissing people off.
Steve Gibson yesterday talked about it as Google's proposal to end ad blockers. Like, oh, you can trust us. You don't need no ad
Never
blocker.
mind our year-over-year quarterly earnings.
Ron Amadio, writing at Ars Technica, Google's nightmare Web Integrity API wants a DRM gatekeeper for the web. It's just a proposal, but it's already being prototyped inside Chrome.
I didn't really understand. I put another story up too. I didn't understand what it is.
Yeah.
How it works. Can you explain it?
I can't. I wish I'd listened to Steve, but I was
Off getting
You
your
were
coffee.
hosting
I
the
was
show.
playing a game. Okay. Here's Google's
This is why we need to put Steve's transcript into NotebookLM and
Right.
ask it.
Let me just check and see what they. Users often depend on websites trusting the client environment they run in. Your browser is running on your computer. They you trust it, right? This trust may assume the client environment is honest about why wouldn't it be about certain aspects of itself. Keeps user data and intellectual property secure and is transparent about whether or not a human is using it.
Okay, so like not a web scraper?
Or trusting,
That makes no sense.
I mean,
trusted backbone of the
CAPTCHA.
open.
I mean, this is kind of like what CAPTCHAs are in terms of like, are you a human filling out the form? Are you a human surfing this site? Are you?
It got described as a form of DRM.
Yeah, I don't know if
I don't
that's
understand
accurate
how that
either. So here's some examples of the scenarios where users depend on client trust. And I think when they say this, what they're saying is when you go to a website, you trust that the website itself is reliable. Okay.
you wouldn't
users-
go there otherwise.
Yeah. Well, but except you do all the time, right? Even though you know the website might be spying on you in effect with third-party cookies and things. Users like visiting websites that are expensive to create and maintain. But those darn users, they often want or need to do it without paying directly. The websites fund themselves with ads, but the advertisers can only afford to pay for humans to see the ads rather than robots.
Right.
This creates a need for human users to prove to the websites they're human, sometimes through chat tasks like challenges or logins.
Yep.
So
Show
that's
me
the
the fire
I'm not a
hydrant.
robot thing is not a security thing. It's to make sure that that's an eyeball looking at that ad. Oh my God, that drives me nuts. Here's another example.
There are people you can hire to, like, you can screw your competitors over by hiring
right.
companies to click on their ads.
This
which
is more
not-
of a Google
Yes.
problem than a you and me problem.
Yeah.
This is Google's problem is click fraud. And advertisers rightly say to Google, well, you say that 400 people clicked that ad, or saw that ad. That's how they bill. But did they, or are they human? So this is why Google's worried about this. Users want to know they're interacting with real people on social websites. Okay, this is more in our bailiwick. But bad actors often want to promote posts with fake engagement to promote products, make a news story seem more important, get your favorite guy elected. Websites can only show users what content is popular with real people if websites are able to know the difference between a trusted and untrusted environment. Okay, here's another scenario. Users playing a game on a website want to know whether other players are using software that enforces the game rules. Anti-cheat. That's a big issue in gaming, right? Users sometimes this is a fourth scenario. Users sometimes get tricked into installing malicious software because it imitates software like their banking apps to steal from users. The bank's internet interface could protect those users if it could establish that the requests it's getting are actually coming from the bank or other trustworthy software. So you might say, you're going around and somebody says, hey, I just got the latest fast pay app. It's called, Zonk. And use it, and it might be draining your bank account without you knowing. The bank should know this is not real.
Right.
This is not legit. So it's really, again, getting down to kind of authentication. The trust relationship between websites and clients is frequently established through the collection and interpretation of highly re-identifiable information. Cookies.
So
However,
it's all about cookies. Huh?
It's all about this is Google. Remember, Google did a whole bunch of different stuff. Remember the code?
What happened to Flock?
Flock. Remember that?
Yeah,
They're
the
trying
sandbox.
like hell to support advertising on the web because it's 79% of the business
70%.
It's their money.
without pissing off us users. The trust relationship they write between, this is all Google explaining it. The trust relationships between websites and clients is frequently established through the collection and interpretation of a highly re-identifiable information. However, the signals that are considered essential for these safety use cases can also serve here's the insight some bozo had, as a near unique fingerprint that can be used to track users across sites without their knowledge or control. We've heard a lot about fingerprinting. And this is one of the reasons I thought in the long run, Google didn't mind losing cookies, because they knew there are better ways to identify us as we travel around the web.
Well, Leo, is this just for Google, or is this for everywhere where Google serves ads across most of the
is this
known
a standard?
universe?
With the Web Environment Integrity API, websites will be able to request a token, I guess from me, that attests key facts about the environment their client code is running in. For example, this API will show that a user is operating a web client on a secure Android device. Tampering with the attestation will be prevented by signing the tokens cryptographically. This is just a unique identifier.
Yeah.
This is just a fingerprint. Websites will ultimately decide if they trust the verdict returned from the attester. It is expected the attesters would typically come from the operating system as a matter of practicality. Imagine this will be built into Android post-haste. However, this explainer does not prescribe that. Okay, so they don't say how it's going to happen. Multiple operating systems may choose to use the same attester.
Sounds like it's just wait and see and then be ready to hit opt out.
Well, we may not be able to opt out. They're building it into Chrome. There's a tension between utility for anti-fraud cases requiring deterministic verdicts and high coverage and the risk of websites using this functionality to exclude specific attesters or non-attestable browsers. We look forward. In other words, I'm on Firefox. It doesn't do that. Well, you can't come in. We look forward to discussion on this topic.
Wow. So basically, would it be better?
I wonder, could you also use it? Wait, could you also use it to keep people from countries that you don't want to see your content out?
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, because, you get IP addresses, but that's not 100% reliable because of VPNs and so forth. But if every machine had a unique identifiable fingerprint, and maybe
then you could also... You could, if you were like a men's rights group, maybe you'd be like, you know what? If someone's a woman, I don't want them coming to my
girls
site.
allowed.
That would be really interesting.
So the goals, according to Google, are to allow web servers, the sites you visit, to evaluate the authenticity of the device, the thing you're using to visit it with, and an honest representation of the software stack, your browser, your operating system, and traffic from the device. You could see why that's something they would want, but this is what advertisers have always wanted. This is what cookies were being used for. Offers an adversarially robust and long-term sustainable anti-abuse solution. That's what you were talking about, Stacy. Don't enable new cross-site user tracking capabilities, through attestation. Continue to allow web browsers to browse the web without attestation, so you wouldn't have to use it. This is the replacement for Flock. You nailed it.
Which was a replacement
exactly
for cookies.
Right. Here's from Apple Insider. Maybe something, they're talking to a fifth grader, so maybe this will be a little bit, because, Apple users.
Just wrong.
Google might not be completely ready to give up website cookies just yet, but the company is certainly investigating alternatives like a user tracking ad platform built into Chrome. That's a little more to the point, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And of course, they're dressing it up with all of these security and attestation of who you are.
You read all of that, and I was thinking, boy, this sounds like a privacy concern right here.
Yeah. It's 4 Google employees authored it, but it's already prototyped within Chrome. No wide launch has been announced or even hinted at yet.
When you say Chrome, does that necessarily mean like Chromium Project, the actual?
No, I don't think so. Because I don't think so.
Because then you have other browsers out there using Chromium.
This is a company that's 79% ad supported, trying desperately to find a way that users don't hate.
I like how you say desperately when we just talked about the billions of dollars.
But they're really afraid of ad blockers, right? They want to protect it, yeah.
And again, it's not just Google. It's every site upon which Google serves ads.
Here's somebody on Hacker News says, I've been thinking carefully about this. I really don't know what to say. It's absolutely heartbreaking watching something I really care about die by 1,000 cuts. Google will just strong-arm them implementation through Chromium.
Oh, okay.
And when banks and Netflix, et cetera, start using it, they've effectively cornered the other engines into implementing it. You know, it's a problem right now. I use Firefox on Linux, often can't watch videos.
Right.
For instance, I couldn't watch Netflix on it because the DRM isn't, you know, they don't get their DRM protections.
Yeah.
That's where the DRM connection.
Back in the days, you used to have to have Silverlight. Remember that?
Oh, right. Yeah. Geez, memories.
This is what they did with Flock. People didn't like Flock. So this is the replacement.
Well, cookies were a fairly benign thing all in all, and everybody demonized cookies, and it keeps getting worse.
Yeah, this is worse than cookies.
Well, no. Okay, hold up.
Okay.
We demonized cookies because we were like, the heck is happening? Because up until cookies, we didn't realize or have something that tracked us forever across everything we did in a place. Like, it's like cookies are intrusive. We've just acclimated to them.
The original spec for cookies was not intrusive.
Right.
It specifically said, then Firefox or Mozilla, which created these, specifically said there's no cross-site tracking. If a cookie's issued by Starbucks, Pete's can't see Starbucks cookies. This is where it became a problem because Facebook, being the geniuses they are, said, well, but if we put a Facebook thumbs up like button on every site, then it can be a first party cookie. It can be from Facebook.
Loophole.
And we can, every site that has the Facebook thumbs up is for that thumb a Facebook site. So it can say, oh, he's on the Starbucks site. Oh, he's on the Pete's site. Everybody uses it, right?
Yeah.
So it's cross-site tracking cookies that are the problem. And you can turn that off. You just turn off third-party cookies. Every browser does it. And that won't work anymore. And I use Firefox, and Firefox will sandbox the Facebook thumbs up for that reason. It'll isolate it, it'll prevent it from working. So there are ways to stop that. Cookies are necessary, though. Cookies are very. That's
in a stateless internet. It's the only way to get state.
Yeah, if you don't want to log in every single time you go to Facebook, you better have a cookie, right? So
let me pull that back and say tracking pixels. Sorry.
Oh, and I agree with you,
evil.
tracking pixels.
Okay.
And this is just the problem with tracking pixels. Google says is, well, we can't be sure it's a human, so we got an even better way of doing it, which is a fingerprinting technique, which basically attests you are Leo Laporte. And just like Flock, they'll say, oh, but it's anonymous.
Yeah.
We've anonymized it. It doesn't say you're Leo Laporte. It's just you're 1749333. Oh. We don't know who that is.
Because we'll go back to Google as a B2B company, and you are
we're a C, right? We don't.
No, we're a P, the product.
Peon. Anyway, I'm glad we spent some time on that. I did. Steve talked about it.
I was so confused about it.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it, but this is their replacement for Flock. And, I think they are somewhat trying to make it more confusing and obfuscated so that you don't really...
They did a good job of that, I'd say.
And good on people like Ron Amadio for reading it and saying, whoa, hold on. This is a nightmare. It's a DRM gatekeeper for the web.
How soon will our local leadership get involved with this and pull them up to Congress and have them testify? Hey, what is this?
It's too complicated for Congress. This is what they realize. If we make this... Look how hard it was for us to figure out what the hell it was.
Exactly.
Members of Congress go, yeah, fine.
I don't like this, Google. This makes no sense. We need you to stop this.
That's probably what happened to Mitch McConnell. Started reading this and just froze up.
Oh, that was sad.
It is sad. I don't know. It's very sad.
I mean, yeah.
No, and I wish him nothing but health and get better. I'm not a fan of his politics. But that's
still a human.
Yeah, he's a human. That's right.
Maybe he comes out of it and says, "Oh, everything I've been doing is completely wrong and screwed
up. Oh, Elaine, let's get out of here." Perhaps the most telling line of the explainer, says Ron Amadio, it takes inspiration from existing native attestation signals such as Apple's App Attest and the Android Play Integrity API.
Well, that's the other interesting part of this is what is Apple doing, where Apple contends it's the privacy company, but Apple plays a part in this.
But see, this is, So, and this is how Google's dressing it up too, is it's for security as well. That's why they mentioned you don't want, it's anti-cheat. It makes sure you're a human, that it's not malware that's logging into your bank. It's really you. You see all the good things you get from this. And all of that's true. And Apple's doing the same thing. We want to make sure that the phone integrity has not been breached. The Play Integrity API tells you if your device has been rooted, right?
Yeah.
And so if it's been rooted, it's presumably
Not secured.
not secure. Apple, same thing.
In
If
air
it's been
quotes.
jailbroken, well, you can't trust it now. It's
But I get
it's
that.
good for business.
I get
but It's
that.
good for you.
Yeah. I get why they would say it's
Yeah.
not secure.
This is interesting. Yeah.
Well, in keeping everything secure is going to make it utterly inconvenient and terrible to use. Just like keeping everything completely private destroys some of the benefits of that's why these are such hard policy discussions, is because it's all on a spectrum and everybody's place on that spectrum and comfort is different.
Louis Rossman, who is, of course, the right to repair guy. He's a New York City, or used to be a New York City repair guy who did great videos of him fixing stuff. Immediately got on YouTube. God bless him. This is where YouTube really is great, and said, we got to make sure this fails. This is a terrible idea, and we got to make sure this fails. He also called it DRM. But DRM, I don't think really says it. It really is fingerprinting.
Yeah,
it really
that's
is.
a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else? A lot of talk about AI safety. The White House has an AI safety agreement.
I want to hear Stacey cut that to ribbons.
Voluntary commitments from leading AI companies to manage the risks posed by AI. The only question is, did they identify the correct risks? The companies are Amazon, Anthropic, Google, Inflection, Meta, Microsoft, and OpenAI. And they
did not
voluntarily said, for the most part, probably, in all likelihood, going to agree to this, right?
Yeah,
not binding. There's no penalty.
Anytime the government gets together and is like, hey, everybody who's big already in this industry and has some vested interest, come here. Let's build a regulatory program. Just look askance.
Right.
Just look askance. It's like calling the telcos and being like, how would you like us to regulate you? And they're going to be like, very lightly or not at all.
or even better, let's pull up the ladder and keep anybody else from playing, right?
Right. Well, and really it's not at all, because these are all things that they've decided are going to be good for them and best. So,
right.
Sure.
It's regulatory.
But all right, but to your question, Leo, the categories, or at least the categories.
Yeah, they sound all right. So the 7 leading AI companies I just mentioned agreed. They are committing. They are pinky swearing that they will ensure products are safe before introducing them to the public.
Whatever that means.
Sure.
How?
They commit to internal and external security testing of their AI systems by independent experts. Biosecurity, cybersecurity, and broader societal effects will be monitored. The companies commit to sharing information across industry and with government, civil society, and academia on managing AI risks. I think the devil's in the details, though. What are the risks? Are the risks that the AI Borg is going to take over and we'll all be assimilated? Or is it that black people are going to have to end up going to jail in a much higher percentage because they'll be misidentified by face recognition technology? Those are two very different levels of risk.
Right.
There's the risk side, and then there's also, how do you get access? Do you have to be somehow certified or like part of like an established institution to get access? Do you have to pay money? Acer is open, but you have to pay a lot of money to get to it, right?
That's a very good point. That's that regulatory capture thing. Building systems that put security first. This company's commit to investing in cybersecurity.
Isn't that redundant?
And it seems like the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's, I don't know if they're talking about cybersecurity versus privacy versus
They say cybersecurity
security.
and insider threat safeguards to protect proprietary and unreleased model weights. We certainly wouldn't want to release these to the public.
What the heck?
This is not.
That
Can we go back to the White
to
House and say, that's not what we want? We want them to be public with their model weights, right?
Well, you may not. It depends on, there are I don't know, if you're building a new missile targeting system.
Okay.
Maybe you don't want, I was not in the room where that was happening, so don't know what everyone's issues are, but.
I mean, we know that
Again,
one of the things that happened at OpenAI is they said, "Oh no, we're going to do this in open and we're going to do it public." And as soon as they started being a
All of a sudden,
profit
close the
center.
door.
Yeah, well, we aren't going to tell you how.
Yeah.
Chat
Well, but the regulators in Europe are trying to shut down open source.
Yeah, where'd you get
versions.
this information from? Well, you know, that's fair to ask that question.
Well, no, they're doing the opposite in Europe, where they're trying to shut down open source so that they know who made what, which is
Okay.
exactly the wrong way to go.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess if they're
Is that the
afraid that a
cyber
bunch of people.
resiliency story that I've been hearing about. Cyber resiliency.
No, it's more just evil AI.
Oh,
Companies commit to facilitating third-party discovery and reporting of vulnerabilities. This is a lot about cybersecurity. It's interesting. Oh, here's one. Earning the public's trust. We commit to earning
We're
the
going to
public's
destroy
trust.
you all. Do you trust us to do that?
The companies commit to developing robust technical mechanisms to ensure that if lasers are employed by AI, there will be a cutoff switch. Huh. No, the users know when
if we give the AI a paperclip factory,
we will not ask them to make
fill us up with
paper
paper
clips.
clips.
The companies commit to letting users
Staplers. They'll
know
make staplers.
when content is AI generated, such as a watermarking system.
That got a lot of attention.
It did.
And I think that everybody can salute that flag.
Yeah.
Provenance
except
is a
that
good
how are they
thing.
going to do it?
That's the question.
Because they just there's now research out there. There's actually some really disturbing research. One is the research that AI can't tell when something is AI generated. And then did you see was it Stanford scientists talking about how GPT has gone from like a 96% accuracy down to a 2% accuracy
Ooh.
over the last few months?
Yeah, somebody
was
complained
really
about that
Accuracy of
study.
what?
I can't figure it
Accuracy
that
of
out.
what?
Of certain test math, right, Stacey?
Oh,
Yes, it
their
was
math
test
getting
math.
bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Because as they updated one thing, it got better at the SAT verbal and worse at the SAT math.
Which is what happens when
Yeah,
you're
it does,
trying
it
to
does.
get better on things.
It's Corpora.
You read too much Hemingway,
It's
and there
Corpora.
goes your arithmetic.
Don't ask me to add 2
It's
plus
Corp
2.
I.
The companies commit to publicly reporting their AI systems' capabilities, limitations, and areas of appropriate and inappropriate use.
That covers kind of everything.
Both security risks and societal risks, such as the effects on fairness and bias. Okay.
Yeah.
Companies commit to prioritizing research on the societal risk that AI systems can pose, including avoiding harmful bias and discrimination. Oh, this one's for you, Stacey, and protecting privacy. So they do admit, at least talk about it. Pinky swears. Companies commit to develop and deploy advanced AI systems to help address society's greatest challenges. Why are you laughing? From cancer prevention to mitigating climate change.
Okay.
It's anodyne. It's all fine.
So,
right?
Of course.
I was
Good.
going to
Do
say
that.
all of this sounds great, but what happens if nobody follows this stuff? There's no
There's no
mention of
penalty.
any type of
Penalty.
penalty,
No.
fines,
Literally
punishment,
nothing.
Nothing.
It's a
So,
pinky swear.
this is another list of platitude crap.
Yeah,
from
but that's
White
the right
House.
question. To me, the model is, we've talked about this before, it's the Federal Trade Commission model. If you warrant to do something and you fail at that duty,
Right.
then we hold you liable for defrauding people. That's the way I think it ought to
Right.
operate, but you need more specificity
Yeah.
in these. Stacey, is there any topic left out here?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean,
okay.
well, so sorry, I'm like, what?
Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
What happens to
No, I mean, I was-
stochastic parrots? Where do they come in?
No, I was just thinking with this and with other like AI with, more data coming from connected devices about people, we're talking about trying to regulate things at a very high level. And I think we need to move to an outcome-based regulation. And I know that sucks. It's the worst. But
That's
when
like
we're
wait and
talking about
see,
regula-
basically, right? Is what
well,
you're
no,
saying?
we could say, no, I'm saying we can look forward and saying, we could do a couple things. I think it's important to put audit mechanisms in place to understand what's happening and to whom, right? We could also say, look, because there are certain, like when we talk about not having open models, there are cases where we don't want our models and weights to be open. There are cases when we do.
Okay.
We need to actually go in and establish, probably not through legislation, it'll probably be a regulatory thing, and every government body probably will have to figure this out on their own, like what matters for their
for whatever their jurisdiction.
expertise. Yeah. But we're going to have to make those rules on not a case by case basis, but on a maybe industry specific basis. Maybe it'll be like, and I think this is going to be really hard for us, especially because we have a Congress that can't act and we have regulatory bodies that are really beholden to the companies that
You've
regulate.
seen what happens. I remember in the early days of the internet that Congress is reluctant to regulate it. Remember, Amazon didn't pay sales tax, right, for a long time.
Right.
Because it was a nascent technology. And let's not regulate it. Let's see how the baby develops before we tie it down with rules.
Wasn't wrong, I think.
It wasn't wrong, as long as you're willing to regulate later.
Yeah,
and eventually, Amazon did end up paying sales taxes in every state.
I think that's the wrong way to go about something like this for two reasons. One, this is already infiltrated. AI is not new. I'm so sorry to tell y'all this.
Yeah,
We have been we've been making data-driven and analytics-based decisions for quite some time. And so, one, we have a sense of where the problems are. We have actually seen them. So now, in probably a couple of years ago, was the time to start. And then two, the big issue is it takes us so long to make regulations. The FTC saw this happening in 2013. They called for Congress. Actually, it was 2015 when they issued the report. They started the report in 2013. They called for regulations around AI. We are 10 years later and we've got nothing. And I don't see it happening. So, and it's fine to be like, oh, we'll let it go for a while. But technology moves much faster. Legislation takes much longer.
Right.
And it also has a greater impact on people's lives. And so I don't think that's an okay thing to say anymore or to even espouse, really.
But also, Stacey, isn't it the case, given all of that, to think that the legislation and regulation can be very specific is probably not possible. And we need frameworks, to more flexible frameworks to regulate in response to things that happen as they happen.
Congress needs to give each agency the power, like the congressional authority, to do their own individual AI, like to establish AI bureaus within like the Department of Defense, the EPA.
Okay.
And they also need to give each of those regulatory agencies the legal authority to do audits and to do enforcement, which is fines or whatever, however they want to enforce this.
Preach.
And right now, they don't have that. And those are the things you need to do, because I agree, it is
law, right? That you can't come out of whole cloth. Now.
That's the congressional thing.
Yeah.
Congress has to say, you have the enforcement to regulate AI in your bailiwick.
Bailiwick.
You have, what is it?
In Latin, I'm sure it's something else.
It's corpora. What?
Bailiwick.
Bailiwick.
Yeah. It sounds medieval,
so you have,
like there was a castle, and in the front of the castle, there was the bailiwick.
Yes.
And you had to go through the bailiwick to get into the moat, into the center.
And there was the master of the
to get
bailiwick.
into the moat. Anyway.
Bailiwick, one sphere of operations, a district. Oh, it comes from the word bailey or bailiff.
Oh, so there was a person.
Yeah.
There was
It comes from the Middle English word for bailiff.
Don't you just love these asides, audience?
Yeah.
These entomological
ADD
asides.
moments of the show.
Corpora and bailiwick. That's our theme today.
The second half of bailiwick comes from a Middle English word for dwelling place or village, wick, which comes from the Latin vicus, which also means village. So bailey, combining a bailiff with village, vic, you get bailiwick, the special domain of the bailiff. Thank you.
It takes a bailiwick.
Okay. To raise
Mashed potatoes winning so far.
Okay.
With the show title.
What's mashed potatoes?
Corpora and Bailiwick.
Corpora and Bailiwick.
Yeah.
Sounds like a law firm. I would trust them.
And Jones.
And Jones. Corpora, Bailiwick, and Jones. At your service.
No, it needs to be
a
a much fancier name.
I would say at this point, I think it's worthwhile for government to say, let's put a pin in it. Let this thing go forward a little bit. I don't buy into the fear that
they're
it's all
already doing that. You're fine.
Yeah, we're safe.
That's what they're doing.
I mean, I don't want them to rush because I don't think we're in a rush.
They're not.
Yeah, well, I know they're not. They're not rushing to do anything except find UFOs. Well, thank goodness.
Jeez.
Here's a
problem
great
is that-
article, which I think Jeff put in. Let's add this to the stew. This is right up your bailiwick.
Stu Bailiwick. He was a fine attorney.
Stu Bailiwick of Bailiwick, Corpora, and Jones. I remember him. Nature magazine article about ChatGPT. The title does not tell you what it's about. What it's really saying is, and something we've said a long time, AI can do some things really surprisingly well, and other things it's terrible at.
Right. This isn't news to any of us.
In a test consisting of a series of brightly colored blocks arranged on a screen, most people can spot the connecting patterns. ChatGPT-4 and the search engine Bing get barely 1/3 of the puzzles right in one category of patterns, as little as 3%. In other words, completely baffled in another. It goes on to talk about the two camps. And this is why I bring this up, because this is relevant to regulation. If we can't even understand what it's doing or how it works, how are you going to regulate it?
Mm-hmm.
So there are two camps of researchers, according to this Nature article, that have opposing views about what's going on under the hood of LLMs. And they're quoting a cognitive scientist at Harvard, Tomer Ullman. Some attribute the algorithm's achievements to glimmers of reasoning. No. Or understanding, says Professor Ullman. Others, including Ullman himself, are much more cautious. There are very good, smart people on all sides of this debate. The reason for the split, he says, is lack of conclusive evidence supporting either opinion. There's no way of knowing what's going on inside. It is kind of a black box, but tests like that, those logic puzzles, can reveal the differences between humans and AI systems.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it the whole story behind these models is they can learn over time? Is it safe to say that eventually these logic puzzles could eventually be solved?
Remember the quote we had from a few weeks ago, which is the easy stuff is hard and the hard stuff's easy.
Yeah.
Like a baby can recognize its mom's face at the age of 6 months.
Baby can't tie their shoes, but they can play on a tablet.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of this human bias that we have for measuring things like intelligence. Well, we talked about that in book club, remember, Ant?
Wait a minute, depends on the book. Hold on.
Was it Clara?
It's the one you didn't like. But so we're testing them. Like, are they as smart, or do they think like we do? Because I mean, that's what we want to do, right? Now, if a hummingbird had built an AI, it would have different tests. And I know you're like, hummingbirds can't build AI.
Where did that come from?
I'm just, the point is like, where'd that come from? We're measuring, we're assuming these things think like we do, but they don't.
Right.
They think like something completely different.
If you understand what they're doing, they quote another researcher who says, if you understand what they're doing, you can easily spot an AI. The Turing test, they say this is why the Turing test fails us. Alan Turing's proposal that if you can't tell it's a computer, then it's passing the Turing test. He says, you take people off the street and say, is this an AI or not? Okay. But if you take somebody who knows what questions to ask, they can quickly break an AI by taking advantage of known weaknesses of the system. Mm-hmm. So they're quoting a guy named Cholet. Let me see Francois Cholet, software engineer at Google based in Seattle. Cholet says he'd find it easy to detect an LLM by taking advantage of known weaknesses of the system. If you put me in a situation where you asked me, am I chatting to an LLM right now, I would definitely be able to tell you. But that's because he's trained as opposed to somebody off the street. The key is, he says, to take the LLM outside of its comfort zone. Give it scenarios that are variations on ones the LLM will have seen a lot in its training data. In many cases, the LLM answers by spitting out words that are most likely to be associated with a question it knows the answer to. This is where that hallucination comes in, rather than the correct answer to something that's related but not the same. Anyway, it's very interesting. But the reason I bring it up is this article in Nature kind of tells me why it's hard to regulate this, because we don't know what are we trying to prevent? You can't make a regulation unless you know what's against the law.
You're
and
trying
what's
to
not against the
prevent
law.
harms to people.
Well,
You're trying to prevent an AI from. This is why the audit section is important. You're trying to prevent AIs that unfairly don't identify Black people correctly.
But how
and
do you
end up with them in
identify
jail.
that AI?
You don't need to identify the AI. You say, hey, if you say to a police municipality, or you say, hey, when you're using this for, either for evidence or to bring a person in, you have to disclose it in the warrant.
Yeah.
You have to disclose. You can't do that secretively.
Oh, and then then
you have
judge
to.
Yes.
whether that
Yes.
evidence is valid.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's the issue. It's the same issue with the schmuck lawyer, right? He asked a machine, it gave a wrong answer, but he didn't follow up with any of his responsibilities.
He was the guy who worked for Bailiwick Corpora.
That's where he's going to work now.
Okay, so so what you have to do is build in protections. Is that what
You have to build in a system where people make judgments and then have the enforcement power.
But
And
then doesn't
you
that
need
put
those
you
people
right
to be-
back to where you were before you had AI?
Yeah, it
That's what she
kind of
wants.
does. It basically, no, it still speeds things up,
So
right?
you still have a tool.
Because you still have a tool, but you would never outsource manufacturing completely without any QA on a product line.
Right.
The people are the QA, so you
People
can
know where
speed
the
things up.
exceptions are.
You need methodology.
But you
for
need
that QA,
those-
right?
Yeah, so that's the sort of thing Congress needs to give agencies power to develop that QA and then the ability to enforce whatever the regulatory agencies deem to be the appropriate outcomes, right? Because those people are experts. We can't let Congress get into the nitty gritty because that's not what Congress
They're
is
not
good
experts
at.
in it. Yeah.
No.
And right now we've got Congress like wanting to be involved because it's sexy and it's fun, but they don't actually want to make the hard decisions. They want to punt that to the regulatory agency, and
Then
they should.
You will approve this latest action from the FTC. They have opened an investigation of OpenAI to determine whether its AI hallucinations harm individuals by propagating potentially dangerous misinformation. That's exactly what you were saying, right?
But
Yeah.
I
Just
can
like,
make
but
it
no.
do that. And so who's at fault then? The machine or me? I want to make
Well,
it make
that's
this
a-
information. It's easy.
It's a product liability issue, and the FTC is definitely in charge of products that hurt people, right? So
But who's hurting
They'll have
people?
to make the case. They'll have to make the case that misinformation hurts people, right? They have to make that case,
So
and
what?
then they'll also have to make the case. I know. I'm just breaking it down for you here. They have to make the case that information has caused some sort of harm. And then they have to make the case that that misinformation is uniquely associated with ChatGPT and its models. But they should have the chance and the authority to make those arguments.
Interestingly, it also halts the routine document destruction operations going on at OpenAI. Usually when you destroy documents, you have something to hide, and takes the FTC.
No, you're just cleaning up.
FTC is asking them to take measures to preserve any relevant documentation. Among other things, the documents the FTC wants are related to OpenAI's LLM-based products, their use cases, how Open markets these offerings, so what they tell people when they say use this. But most importantly, the FTC would like to understand in detail how or if OpenAI has tried to determine, and this is right up what you were saying, Stacey, what impact the accuracy of its product has on users. That's part one. Part two is a privacy issue, how it retains and uses information it collects. And part three, how did you train these guys? That's the documents they're destroying, I think. They don't want people to know the secret sauce. You know what?
Well, they also don't want to know.
They don't
if
want to get
there's,
sued.
Well,
Yeah.
copyright fights
That's
ahead.
right. Washington Post obtained this document, the FTC civil investigative demand, and they've given.
I mean, if I sued you tomorrow, Leo, I would tell you to stop. I would tell your
Yeah.
company, keep everything related to all of your communications with Stacy.
Second paragraph. You must suspend any routine procedures for document destruction and take other measures to prevent the destruction of documents in your possession, custody, or control. So they're giving the OpenAI folks 2 weeks to schedule a meeting with the FTC to answer these questions. I think that's good. That's exactly what you were asking for.
This is a deceptive advertising case.
Yeah, in a way it is.
Tell me why it isn't, Jeff.
Because I could use Microsoft Word to do everything that we just discussed. Is Microsoft Word at fault, or am I at fault for using it to make up crap?
Well, but it's reasonable to ask the
Microsoft
company,
Word doesn't tell me. No, Microsoft Word isn't actually doing. You're using it, but you are actually
if it's using
taking the action.
ChatGPT, let's say it's using OpenAI's technology.
Well, no, I actually
then
mean...
the question is, did OpenAI mislead that lawyer or mislead you in what the outcome of this use would be?
Okay, that's a good example.
Yeah.
So the lawyer asked Machine he shouldn't have asked.
Well, how
this
was he
question.
supposed to do that?
Yeah, and if you used
OpenAI tell him that?
Microsoft,
Well, this is where
Yeah, and
Microsoft is the one at
yes.
fault then. Microsoft putting ChatGPT in a search environment saying this is what you should expect from
I would
search.
bet that this same letter goes
I
out
would
to
bet that-
Microsoft.
Then Microsoft be the one, yeah.
yeah. I thought you were saying you could do it with with Microsoft Word, and I'd be like, and then the FTC will come after you for deceptive.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
I can go
For
to
lying.
ChatGPT and ask it to make deceptive stuff. I could go to Microsoft Office and make up deceptive stuff. The intermediary of the tool in either case is not liable. And if what I think you would argue next is, what if I didn't know, like the schmuck lawyer, and it made up stuff? Well, as the judge made clear, he had multiple opportunities to just Google these cases and find out that they weren't true.
But
and that's where the liability lied. That's why he paid $5,000.
And maybe they'll
and there's such a thing as like two parties having liability and
Right.
it not being equal.
Right.
I mean, like this is like Tesla's
Full
Exactly.
self-driving.
pilot,
Exactly.
self-driving.
Exactly.
But the judge
This
made
is a
clear
case where-
in that case that he made very clear that the ChatGPT wasn't at all at fault. He made clear it was the lawyer who screwed up because the
But
lawyer
I
made a
think
mistake.
I think
and
the
lawyer-
FTC
The lawyer-
could make a
Well,
case
so
that
here's a-
OpenAI had a responsibility to clearly say this information could be completely
I
made
think
up.
it is
Oh,
there.
At least some
And-
type of
and-
disclaimer
That's
is what
maybe
you're
that's-
saying.
yeah.
Also, and a lawyer has a duty of care to their client that is
Right.
much
That's
higher than the
Both are
average
responsible.
consumer.
Both are responsible. And I think it's appropriate
And that's
for the
why-
FTC to go after OpenAI on these issues and find out and do some investigation. And the lawyer already has been punished. Both can be punished for that, you know?
NotebookLM puts this warning all over.
Yeah.
All over.
But that doesn't stop people from using it because there's also this drumbeat of, isn't this amazing? Look how smart it is. Look at all the cool things it'll do. Right?
But that's what the judge said. That was your fault then, sir.
Well, and this is why the FTC exists against people who market things
That's right.
incorrectly, because
That's their
marketers
job.
will always tell you things are amazing.
Yeah.
Deceptive.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's a good conversation.
Oh,
Let's
Okay,
take
we're
a
all
little
good
break.
now. Yeah,
Let's take a
yeah.
little break. We want to do a change log here, and I have generated this change log thanks to ChatGPT.
Oh, boy.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Also known as Scooter X. Is that what you're talking
yes,
about?
Scooter
I was
X.
about to say
Right.
Scooter.
Has anybody ever met Scooter X in person? Do we know?
This is true.
No.
This is true.
And he has the suspicious X in
X
his
in his
name.
name. Oh, boy.
Oh.
All right.
It's time for the Google change log. Corpora.
Thank you, Mr.
I think we made Benito go to sleep briefly. I really do. I'm sorry, Benito. Google abandons work to move assistant smart speakers to Fuchsia. Now, this is kind of surprising, isn't it, Stacy? Fuchsia, which is an operating system purpose-built for IoT, I think. They already moved the Nest Hub Max to Fuchsia, but these apparently they're not going to move the speakers to Fuchsia.
So this and Ruth Porat's new gig make me feel like there's a lot of doubt that Google's going to continue making these sort of devices, I feel. I'm a little worried about it.
Killed by Google.
Well, we learned a couple of months ago that Amazon had lost billions on Alexa. Google must be losing millions too. I mean, at least Amazon.
Well, their other bets only made. Other Bets is what this whole division's under, and they made $285 million, and they lost. I don't know if they put out their loss. But yeah, this is not a big business.
Last year, according to 9 to 5 Google's Fuchsia team had renewed its efforts to support smart speakers. The team had experimented with a single speaker, ditched that effort, then restored it later on. They were working on multiple speakers. In fact, they were working on an as yet unreleased speaker equipped with UWB, ultra wideband, which is interesting. According to the SoC manufacturer Amlogic, which makes the chip in these guys, Fuchsia was on track to replace the underlying cast OS of speakers like the Nest Audio. They had already done that with Nest Hub, but now they're changing horses in the middle of the stream. Fuchsia team on the GitHub code repository formally marked all of its speaker hardware as unsupported and removed the related code. Wow.
As Scooter X says, an IRC chip issue, maybe?
Maybe. Or maybe
Yeah,
just a
it
waste
could
of
be.
effort.
Well, you do like when you
It's the
want to like.
architecture. Oh, sorry.
No, well, I was going to say it could be like not enough memory is part of the original.
Maybe they
'cause, like,
couldn't
you know,
do
when
it.
you're
Yeah.
gonna,
Yeah.
you got to store everything you had,
Right.
bring the new OS in, and then swap it over, and that's double the memory requirements.
Let me
Not
say this
necessarily
right now,
double.
Ruth. Keep your hands off Chrome, Chrome OS. Okay, thank you.
And give me a new Chromebook while you're at it.
Well, that's asking too much.
Yeah.
You and this little toy computer over here next to me is cute.
Hey,
Just
hey.
What is that?
look at that. Isn't it cute?
I forgot to ask. Are you using, is that an Acer? What are you using?
No, it's Pixel Go.
Oh, the old Go.
It's
new
the old Go. Yeah.
Yeah. Google Play Service is ending support for Android 4.4. Ay, ay, ay. That's we're at Android 14 is imminent. So that's pretty old. That's KitKat. 10 years old in August. So, you know, if you have a phone based on KitKat, maybe time to look it up.
Yeah, it's time for another phone. Probably.
I did order. We didn't even mention the Samsung event at 4 a.m. our time this morning. They announced, of course, the Fold 5, the Flip 5, the new Samsung watches, new Samsung tablets. I ordered a Flip 5 because I know Stacy needs a new phone. Actually, Lisa's very interested in looking at it too, but she says, I wish Apple would do this.
A Fold?
Yeah, and they may.
Really?
You know, I mean, Google's doing one now. So, but the Fold 5 looks pretty good. It's got the chipset, same chipset as the S23 Ultra.
This is the
Same
first time I've heard of any of
lenses.
this today. I totally forgot about Samsung.
Yeah, I know, because it was early in the morning.
Totally
They
forgot.
flew a bunch of people out there. Lance Ulanoff was there. Carolina
Milanesi, she was there.
Who was it on the show? From Windows Central.
Rubino was there, right?
Yeah, Daniel Rubino. They flew these people out to South Korea, where it's about 800 degrees and 100% humidity, and they were there at this event.
It's like another day in Georgia.
Yeah. Anyway. I will have it August 11th, so I will have it for the following Wednesday, and I'll give you my review. I've had it for almost a week by then, and I'll give you my review. But you know, it looks like they've made significant improvements to the hinge, the screen, and mostly to the screen on the outside of that thing. The one you have, Stacy's just got a little tiny screen. They're going to have a screen that fills up the whole house,
Nice.
so it should be more usable. So maybe that's what you should replace your KitKat Android phone with. Chrome OS 115 rolling out. Do you have it yet, Jeff?
I don't know.
Android app
I don't
streaming,
know.
PDF signatures, bunch of new features.
What's this PDF signature?
You can now the PDF reader on your Chromebook, when you open PDFs in the Gallery app, there's a signature tool, so you can add your signature.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
No, I've got 114. Oh,
That's pretty cool.
So it's coming soon.
Should I
They
restart?
released
That is handy because
Yeah.
I use Dropbox and HelloSign. 'cause
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I pay for Adobe
That's a
to do
pain.
that.
right.
And I dislike
Can't.
going to a service where I have to sign into it and they take the document over. I'd rather do it locally.
DocuSign or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Android app streaming from your Pixel or your Xiaomi phone running Android 13 or newer, which is cool. So you don't have to install an Android app. You can just have it on, for instance, Threads
Yeah.
which has a nice Android app. You could run that on your.
Well,
on
I
your
run
Pixel.
Threads now on.
Yeah, as an Android, install it as an Android app.
Yeah.
Now you can just stream it from the phone without installing it. Let's see what else. Windows has added the ability to communicate with your Android phone as well. That should
Windows.
That was
Why would I
always
want
the
Windows?
I thought that's been the case since 11, right?
No, I think this is maybe they've slowly been rolling this out. We were talking about it on Windows Weekly this week.
Man, I thought they've been talking
Let me
about
find
that
Paul's article.
since like last year.
I can fill you in because I don't have the exact details. This was part of his pick of the week here. Nearby Share, it's called. So this came out. So if you have a Pixel phone and a Windows machine, you can just Apple does this with AirPlay. What is it? AirDrop.
Right?
Nearby Share. You can send photo. You take a picture on your phone. You can send it over. In fact, to your Windows laptop. In fact, Richard Campbell was saying he's selling his house, going around doing a photo shoot of the house, and had just set up that every picture he took on his phone went immediately to his laptop, which is handy.
It's handy.
Yeah. So that's a new feature. It's Nearby Share for Windows
In the Google changelog.
in the Google changelog. But it's no, wait a minute.
No, I didn't close it.
Don't end the Google.
Oh, that's it.
Sorry,
Sorry, it's officially
we're not
over.
allowed to do more.
My bad.
Once they play that, I can't.
That's it. It's the law, isn't it?
The law.
The
says
FTC is going to come
I
after you.
said
You said
in.
it was over, and you defrauded people by doing yet more of it.
This is. Believe me, you didn't miss anything. I'm just looking at the two items we didn't do.
Live
because
look at
of
Mr. Benito in the booth just waiting.
He's waiting.
Damn,
He said,
now.
what?
Push the
What?
button.
Our show today, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will get picks and stuff.
Ooh,
Our show
good
today brought
sponsor.
to you by Fast Mail. Oh, I love Fast Mail. How many times have I said this? If email is important to you, do not use free email. You get no support. You're not the customer. You're the product. With Fast Mail, email works for you. The best support in the world. They treat you as a customer to be serviced and supported and cared for, not as a product to be exploited. No advertising. In fact, the anti-spam features of Fast Mail are second to none. It's actually the reason. For a long time, I would have my mail go through Gmail just for the anti-spam and then into Fast Mail. I've been using Fast Mail for more than a decade. I finally just said, I don't need Google anymore. Fast Mail does a better job. Fast Mail uses mail sieve, and you can, of course, use the automatic settings. Very easy. But it's very powerful. I actually have a bunch of code that I use. For instance, if an email is in French or Chinese, I don't want it. I don't want it. Things like that, right? Because I can't read it. I don't know what it means.
What's the point?
And because my last name is Laporte, I get a lot of French
All the
email,
French stuff,
right?
yeah.
But it's a simple civ command, and it's very easy. If you like using your email client, of course, you can keep using it. Fastmail is real IMAP. In fact, they are part of the open source community. They use the Cyrus IMAP server, and they contribute back to it. In fact, really, Fastmail is a leader in the internet community. They are very active creating new standards for email, new authentication settings, things that will end up being in all of our email, often start at Fastmail. If you want to use their app, they have an app on iOS or Android. I stopped using anybody else's apps. It's fantastic. They also have a web app, so you get your choice. You can get your mail any way you want. The Fastmail web app has quick settings, which makes it easy to install a new theme or switch between
Dark mode
and dark mode,
baby.
Change your text size without leaving the Fastmail screen, so you know exactly how it's going to look. You can create a new. Oh, I love the masked email addresses. So this works standalone, or if you're using a Bitwarden, our sponsor Bitwarden, or 1Password, when you create a password for a site, Fastmail will create a new unique email address, which doubles the security, right? Because they'd have to know that unique email address as well as the password. And that address is unique for every company, everything you sign up, which is a great way of finding out if they're selling that address on, right?
Yep.
You can show or hide your reading pane. You can switch between folders and labels. Well, this is another thing. Gmail isn't real IMAP. It uses labels. IMAP uses folders. Some people prefer labels. You can switch back and forth. You can use either one on Fastmail. They support both. You can auto-save contacts. I do that. That way, if I have an email conversation going on, that person doesn't go into spam. It goes into my important folder because I say everybody in my contacts that sends me an email, that should go in an important folder because I know them, right? At the very least, that should go in important. Of course, I have a VIP folder, so mail from my mom and my wife and my daughter automatically go there.
And me.
And, of course, Aunt Pruitt's email goes in there. Aunt, you have your own folder. It's called Ignore. No, I'm just teasing you. You go into VIP, absolutely. And, in fact, I even see a little picture of Aunt because it supports services like a Gravatar. So it puts that right in there. I use it for my calendars and contacts, too. Forget Google. I've got it all syncing with Fastmail. Notes, too. It's great. Total privacy. Now you can add or buy a domain through Fastmail. Now, I've done this. I have about 20 domains that I've purchased elsewhere. Now I'm going to buy them for Fastmail that I have Fastmail doing the DNS for, which gives me authenticated email from Fastmail automatically. They set up the records so it works right out of the box. I just think this is the best way to have a custom domain. And by the way, like I have Leoville.com, anything gets sent to @leoville.com goes into that inbox. So another way I can use unique emails for everybody. I can go on and on. I have gone on and on.
I finally got migrated over. It took me a little while because I have my own domain and I was screwing up my DNS records. Not Fastmail screwing it up. I was.
Yeah, but once you put it to Fastmail, it works really well.
So you had to wait on things to propagate and so forth. Yeah. And I finally got in touch with Fastmail and it was like, no, dude, you're doing it all wrong. Here.
They have good support, don't they?
Done.
Love it. That's because you're a customer.
Oh.
You pay for free email with your privacy at Fastmail. Your data is your data. Better productivity features. It's not expensive, as little as $3 a month. I just think it's the best email in
it's totally worth
market. I've been using it forever. I've been telling people to use it forever. You get to choose Fastmail. In fact, it should be easy to take all your old data from Gmail or anywhere else and port it to your Fastmail inbox. They're just the best. Reclaim your privacy, boost productivity with Fastmail. I'm trying to get everybody to use it. Try it now, free for 30 days. Fastmail.com/twit. Actually, my whole family uses Fastmail. They just don't know it because I have Laporte.email, and so they get their email there, and it forwards it on to whatever email service they want to use. They're going right through Fastmail. Fastmail.com/twit. It's fantastic.
I'm so glad I got migrated.
Go ahead. Try to get some support from Gmail. Just try. Reminds me of the woman who called the radio show saying, I went down to the Irvine Google office and knocked on the door. Nobody was there.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah. But I knocked on their door. All right. It's so nice to have you in studio, Jeff.
I'm so happy to be here.
I wish you would just move out of Bedminster. You don't need to be in that guy's golf club. Just come on over to our
There's
side.
thunderstorms on the East Coast tomorrow, so I might just be staying over.
You might be stuck.
Yeah.
It's all right. We got a guest room. You can do that. We're going to go out to dinner, but actually we should say Jeff's going to stick around, and he and Jason Howell are going to do a little AI thing in the club.
Yep.
So if you tune in for the Giz Wiz, it'll be a little delayed. Jeff and Jason in the club doing AI, just getting ready for that AI show. Actually, we had a great one last week with Anthony Nielsen, how we use AI here. I didn't even know half of that stuff. He just did a whole bunch of logos. Did you see those?
Yeah, I did.
I presume it's all AI.
As a matter of fact, I used one a couple hours ago. We'll see it later.
All right. Nice. Nice. Stacy, what's your thing of the week?
I was going to give y'all a new smart button, but it's not yet working. So I've got to troubleshoot that guy. So instead, I am going to tell you about, this feels cheesy. This feels like I'm intruding on Ant's territory, but
I have no territory.
Well, you'll see. It's a fitness product. It's a weighted
that's
vest.
definitely not mine.
Well, no, he
Stacey
says, blowing up his chest and showing his
fitness
abs.
focused. I did 21 push-ups the other day.
Yes, you did.
I'm never doing another one again. I can hardly move.
Wait. Do that again.
Look at those
Oh,
guns.
Jesus.
So Stacy does not have biceps like that, but she's a Pilates master.
Yeah, she is.
So
I want no part
actually,
of Miss
whoa.
Stacy.
Wait a minute. I take
Hold on.
that back.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold
I
on.
take that back,
Okay.
Stacy.
All right.
You're ripped.
Check out the tricep.
Look at that
Holy
tricep.
camole. Is that from Pilates or have you been lifting weights?
Miss Stacy, I give you your
That's-
credit, but I
that's-
got to show you where this mule kicked me on the back of my arm. Here, you know?
Oh, yeah, don't even. Gosh, if my arms look like that, none of my clothes would fit.
You don't want to look like that.
Mr. Howell brought this in. I didn't get to go to the gym this morning, so I brought my dumbbell in so I could do some stuff in the
I thought I was your
office.
dumbbell.
And apparently Mr. Howell thought it was quite amusing and brought it into the.
Stacy,
All
what's
right,
your
hold on a
thing? Let's see if Jeff can even pick it up.
What do I do with it then?
It's only
Just do
10
that?
shoulder
pounds.
press.
Come on.
What do I do with it then?
Shoulder press. You can do some rows.
Oh, wait, it's
bicep
5
curls.
kilograms.
Yeah,
It's only
Well, I
22
thought it was
Yeah, it's about
pounds.
20. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I
about
thought it
20.
was pounds.
What's pounds too? Never
Boy, I'm
mind.
weak.
Sorry, Miss Stacy.
Go ahead,
All right.
Miss Stacy.
That's all right, man. So I got the weighted vest. I thought I told you about this, but they said I didn't.
Wait a
so
minute.
I'm
The
telling you
weighted
about it.
vest, is that like you give dogs so that they don't get scared in thunderstorms?
Yes, it's like a comfort thing. Sure. It is. So I got it because I was worried about osteoporosis, and I got it back in April.
It'll make you look
And-
like you have osteoporosis.
Hunched over
No,
trying to carry the weight.
I'm so tired. How
So
heavy
I
is your
just-
weighted vest?
So mine goes to 20 pounds, and I'm doing the full 20 pounds. But so the idea here, there's a couple ideas.
You know, my trick was just to eat more bagels, and I carry an extra 20 pounds around with me all the time. All the
That's
time.
hard on your knees, man.
It is. Trust me.
So I got it for walking. Other people will wear a weighted vest for push-ups and fitness things like pull-ups. I'm sure Ant would rock a weighted vest and do
College
pull-ups, but-
Hardhead has a weighted vest for his track training.
Right. So mine is not for that. Although I do now do lunges and squats where
I want a model. I want you to model it and demonstrate it.
Do you really? I can go grab
Yeah,
it. I mean, this is an audio show.
Who, do you recommend a manufacturer, or does it matter?
So because I just started and because I knew I was only using it for walking, I wanted to get one from Dick's Sporting Goods because they have some nice ones, but the one I wanted, they don't have. So I just got one. I got one for like $50 on Amazon.
Yeah,
and it
'cause I
works
see they could be-
perfectly for.
They could be as much as $200. They could be
Yeah.
expensive.
So if you're gonna do like
Stitching,
the
man.
hype, it's the hype. Yeah. The expensive ones are worth it if you want it to be super form fitting so you don't injure yourself or fling things around, especially if you're woman and you
right,
have like breasts, because that's not going to be pleasant.
Right.
But the big things to look out for are you don't want to start with more than 10% of your weight for anything really. And
Well, that's easy. That
don't
gives me
wanna-
50 pounds. Easy. That's good. All right.
close of that. Yeah. And look for something that is form fitting enough and that I look for things. Neoprene ones are very popular. I hate them because you can't really wash them really well.
Oh, yeah.
And
they
look for
smell great.
removable weights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look for removable things so you can take out removable weights so you can change the weight and also so you can take those out and run your vest through the wash.
Right.
So mine is like MoveStar. I bought it on Amazon. Okay.
They have a lot of them. And you're right. The price ranges everywhere from $20 to $100.
Yeah.
It's
So the
all over the
things
place.
to look at are, adjust, like being able to take out your weights so you can also adjust them. I look for the weights at a higher end one, they're going to be metal plates. Lower end, they're going to be like sand or little filling.
Can I get
filing
one that
things.
says police on it? That would
yes,
be good.
Actually, I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what I look like when I'm walking around.
know.
I look like
I know.
some sort of crazy person.
Nobody gonna mess with
Um,
you. Yeah.
But I love it. It's like I won't have a bone density test for another year, but the reason I got it is because it helps
You're smart.
load your spine and
You're
your
smart.
hips
Yeah.
for women who are in danger of osteoporosis.
Yep.
And you know what? It also boosts your heart rate on a walk. And walks are like,
Mhm.
I mean,
burn
you
some
just
calories.
you just pop this on. It's not like super intense, and you just go for a walk. I walk the dog with it. When the dog stops, I like hop up and down, or I do the lunges.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I definitely want
we got to show that. We need to make that a
Yeah,
GIF.
yeah, yeah.
What was that just now?
Just
But
hop up and
underweight.
down. I mean, well, I can't jump. It's like jump rope. Do little hops. I'm
I'm just getting exhausted hearing it. So exhausting.
Meanwhile, I look over here
yeah.
to the left and someone's pointing.
Oh, Queen Crew at once.
It's great. I mean, it's really helpful. And you can start small and load up, and it doesn't feel like you're working out, but you are actually, I mean, my heart rate when I walk with this is regularly getting up to like 115 beats per minute without stressing me out. And I can walk for an hour with this, and I'm like crazy, or half an hour, whatever.
Queen Pruitt has a
great. I love
microphone, let us be known. She can speak for herself.
Oh, they gave her a mic? Wow.
Oh boy, we're in trouble.
Yes. I was diagnosed with the osteopenia.
Yes, this is perfect for that.
Thank you. That's why I said I want one. Because I have the beginnings of that in my lower back for whatever reason.
So, yeah.
So it's
lifting weights.
That's great for you.
Bone density, right? Yeah.
But it's really important you don't go too heavy too fast, because
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know if,
No.
So you're not going to recommend a brand, but those are things to look for: removable weights, washable.
Yes.
Yeah. Good idea. I think for everybody. Yeah.
And the right size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Form fitting and high quality stitching. Although if you're paying $50, you can get rid of it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's like, and if you want to go like real heavy,
Yeah.
they have plates, but I didn't.
I don't
want to
recommend
do that.
those. No.
That's for
Yeah, that
hard
looked
head.
like
I don't recommend
awful.
those. No,
Yeah.
just if you want to get plates, just get a daggum sled and drag that. I mean, because that's heavier weight. I'm dead serious. If you want to put that much weight on, get a sled and drag that.
Yeah.
You'll do much more
I used to use
work.
that at the gym. Yeah. That was hard. Good pick. Thank you, Stacy.
Was hard.
Here's my pick. You think, no, I'm pretty fitness focused. I recommend these dumbbells. They weigh 0.01 kilograms.
They are massive.
They're not. They're light, but you do a lot of
pink.
reps. I do a lot. Well, you can get them in other colors. I like pink.
No, pink is good. Pink is good.
Just 2 pieces, $3.92. 1/10
Okay,
of
my
the
child-
kilogram.
Finger
My
curls.
child was rocking the little we got when they were a kid, we got the little 2-pound weights for them to practice with.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a good idea.
You don't need to give a kid plastic. Give them a little 2-pound
Give
weights.
them nice ones.
That's hilarious, dude.
I'm just teasing, obviously. Mr. Jeff Jarvis, what is your pick?
So I think I'll go, since you're going to see Oppenheimer.
In a couple of weeks, a week from Friday.
Right smack up against the screen.
Yep. That's all I could get. I thought it was fourth row from the back. It was fourth row from the front. I should bring my, I don't know what. I don't know. Neck
Bring
pillow.
your Geiger counter is what you bring. Yeah.
It's gonna be looking straight up at the movie.
So there's a neat little story here in Ars Technica that says that the IMAX control panel, we see a lot of pictures of the plates
funny?
that are bigger.
Yeah.
It emulates a Palm Pilot software.
This technology is so ancient. And people learned this because of a TikTok. They saw this TikTok of the IMAX platter, and somebody said, "What's that on the iPad? It looks like a Palm Pilot." And they actually wrote a Palm Pilot emulator because it was originally Palm Pilot software that controlled these giant. There's only half dozen or dozen of these theaters in the country that can play this 70 millimeter print. Isn't that hysterical?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
As I said here in the story, if it ain't broke.
Right. And we see this all the time with school districts that are still using Amigas to control their HVAC, air traffic controllers that are using Altairs.
Well, that's a different matter.
Wow.
ATC
I wonder if I could get in. We're going to see this at a 70 millimeter IMAX. I wonder if I can beg to go in and see the thing. It's such a long movie. 600 pounds of film, 11 miles long, because it's a 3-hour movie and they didn't plan for them to be that long. They had to get special platters made.
How do they lift it into place?
They use the
carefully.
the forklift.
Jeez.
Literally a forklift.
Very carefully.
Good number. Heavy, man.
Yes.
What is your pick of the week, Aunt Pruitt?
My pick is Google Stadia is living on in the Pruitt household.
What?
Yes, because I finally found OpenEMU. I guess that's how you say it.
Yep.
For Mac, and I can now use my Google Stadia controller that was killed by Google however long ago via Bluetooth to play some classic NES and PlayStation games, and it's been quite enjoyable.
It's a game emulator.
Yes, game emulator on Mac OS. Because I was trying Nestopia, couldn't get it to work, and I was trying some other USB connected game controllers. I tried maybe 2 other ones, couldn't get it to work.
But it works with your
I don't know why, but
Amazon.
the Google Stadia controller works like a champ. So yeah.
And what games is it you or the hardheads?
Oh, this is me.
What games are you playing?
They get their own stuff. This is for me. I've been playing Contra and Metroid and Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Super Mario Brothers.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, it's been great.
There is an Atari game collection for Xbox that doesn't just have the games; it has documentaries.
What?
And so you can play the games, but you can also play you can watch the shows, the little mini documentaries.
Oh man!
And I think there's 100 games or something like that.
The 2600 was great.
That was my first thing, right? So my first game machine.
Pitfall on the
Pitfall.
2600. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah,
it's the best.
It's only 50. It's Atari 50. It's called. It's to celebrate the 50th anniversary. This review calls it weaponized nostalgia.
And this is on Xbox?
Xbox or PlayStation.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yep.
Man, that was great.
Yep. There's Pong. I was a big fan of Space Wars.
I used to like Missile Attack.
Yeah, Missile Attack.
Gosh, that's good stuff.
Kids, we've come to the end of this episode. I wanted to get a short one in. It's only 2 hours because we want to give you time.
Only 2.
And then we'll go to dinner afterwards.
Did we talk for 45 minutes?
It felt like we did. God.
I meant but for 45 minutes before we even started the show.
We did.
Yeah.
Hard to believe.
Because we have such fun together.
It's because we love talking to each other.
We do.
Yeah. Stacey Higginbotham is at Stacey on IoT.com. That's where you can find the IoT podcast she does with Kevin Toffel, articles about IoT. There's also events. There's a whole lot of stuff. This is a great site, and you must subscribe to Stacey's free weekly Internet of Things newsletter. Anything? What's going on the podcast? Last time we talked, you had that person on with the Cyber Trust, right?
Oh, yeah, who sounded like Mr. Rogers. I love him. Tomorrow's guest is the CEO of Purple Air, and we're talking about citizen science, how to get the most out of your purple air.
I have an indoor and outdoor purple.
Yeah.
From back when the wildfires were.
With filters now?
No, the purple just senses and tells you, stop breathing because it's bad out.
Stop breathing.
Yeah.
Don't go outside.
Bad out there. Very nice. Stacey on IoT.com.
It looks like Ms. Pruitt is
ready to sing.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Wait a minute. Not yet. Hold on. Before we do that, Jeff Jarvis, make sure you get the book, the Gutenberg parenthesis. Everybody should buy it, Gutenberg parenthesis.
And hopefully you'll sign mine before we
It is actually, this is bad news, good news. It is out of stock, but temporarily there's a new press run. It'll be in stock.
Yay.
Good for you.
Next week.
That's good. You sold out the first edition.
Good for you.
I have a first edition.
Oh.
This might be worth something someday. You'll find him also at buzzmachine.com.
$4 and
It's about the same amount as that picture we got.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff's also the director of the Townite Center for
That costs
Entrepreneurial
more.
Journalism. Oh, I should get you to autograph those pictures.
Yes.
You don't want to ruin
Craig
it.
Newmark
Historical
Graduate School
artifact.
of Journalism at the City University of New York. Got to get Craig's plug in. Jeff, so great to see you.
Good
Thank
to
you
see you.
for coming out here. At Pruitt, of course, in our community, in the Discord, and also online at antpruitt.com/Prince, and here every Wednesday. Thank you, Ant. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday. Let's see, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. You can watch us live at live.twit.tv. If you're watching live, chat live in our IRC, or, of course, You can join our Club Twit and get into that Discord right behind the velvet rope there. That's where all the good stuff happens. So excited about this September interview or AMA or Fireside Chat with Hugh Howey, who did the Wool series that Silo's based on, and our good friend Daniel Suarez, Freedom Demon TM, his newest book. He's just great.
It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that. And you're going to join us for that.
I will join you, and we're going to stream that for everybody to see. But if you want to see it after the fact, you'll have to be a member. Go to twit.tv/club.
Join.
That's just one of many events. We have almost as many events as a Commonwealth Club now. We're really putting on a show, and it does support us. You also get ad-free versions of all the shows. $7 a month. It's really a good deal. Please join the Cool Kids Club. And
I want to give one more shout out about an upcoming event. We have our coffee time photo critique that'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. Based on some market research, apparently my coffee time has been just a bit too distinct. So how about we just have you all upload whatever photo that was inspired to capture?
It says right here, best fits the theme of coffee time.
Hey, that's
people
what I
don't read
that's
that,
what
do
I
they?
said. So we're just going to
tea time. You could
feel
do tea time
inspired
too
to snap a photo. I want you to upload it and let us know why you were inspired to snap that photo. But you will be critiqued on that.
And no AI-generated images.
And no
must
AI.
be real
Not this time.
photos.
Not this time. No AI.
That'll be
That's
fun.
correct.
That's coming up August 4th at 4 p.m. One of many, many events going on. $7 a month is nothing to pay for this good stuff.
Pay more for coffee.
I think so. All right. The Queen has consented to perform. What will we be? What will be here? This is kind of America's Got Talent Twit edition.
Not that.
I don't have a button or a chair to. Wait a minute. I'll start facing the wrong way, and if I like it, I'll spin around. How about what are you going to be singing for us?
I'm a little nervous.
Well, it's just the intro to the SpongeBob, my first song, just a little bit of it, not the whole thing or anything like that.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Hold your mic up.
The Queen. What you want to introduce her? Aunt? You know her better than anybody.
I'll just start it. Start singing.
She don't want me.
Okay.
I got it.
I'm gonna turn around. If I like it, I'll be back.
What's the mic?
Gee golly, that was close. It's just a little smoke, a minor setback. A few more hours at most, and I'll be done with this here brand new jetpack. And then this Texas squirrel, this country girl, will spread her wings and fly. My bushy tail, a comics trail, clear across the sky, above the town and looking down on a typical bikini bottom day.
Oh boy!
Straight out of SpongeBob SquarePants, the musical.
Bravo!
That's it for Twig. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
That's a showing.
That was awesome.
Okay, we need you every
sound
week.
Great.
Every week. It sounds the same. Great.
That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. That's really good.
We got to literally end on a high note.
Yeah.
She said you got to end on a high note.
Stacy enjoyed it too.
Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here. In case you hadn't heard, Home Theater Geeks is back. Each week, I bring you the latest audio-video news, tips and tricks to get the most out of your AV system, product reviews, and more. You can enjoy Home Theater Geeks only if you're a member of Club Twit, which costs $7 a month, or you can subscribe to Home Theater Geeks by itself for only $2.99 a month. I hope you'll join me for a weekly dose of Home Theater Geekitude.